33%. Chapter 161. Dad, am I so confused? Are you thinking of kidnapping Mr. Xiao? Sister seems to have something on her mind. After walking into the pavilion, Bai Suxin spoke first, which shocked Bai Sukin. Su Shen. Seeing her sister walking in without even noticing it, Bai Sukin was slightly startled. Then he quickly put away his distracting thoughts and his tail stopped wagging behind him. Have everything been arranged in the valley? As if to hide something, Bai Sukin turned around and asked in a soft voice. Although she is Bai Suxin's sister, she is several times older than her. But she did not look down upon her biological sister at all. Instead, she had to listen to her opinions on many matters. After all, the other party has the blood of the eight-tailed celestial fox and is the only saint of the Qingqiu fox clan, so her status is much more noble than hers. Well, because of Mr. Xiao's timely assistance, the clan did not suffer any major losses. It's just that the mountain guard array completely collapsed and a few elders suffered some backlash, but there are no other problems. Hearing that Bai Sukin obviously wanted to change the topic, Bai Suxin asked hesitantly after finishing these two sentences. Sister, you look worried. Are you in any trouble? No. Bai Sukin's complexion changed when she heard this, and she immediately said in the negative. I'm just worried whether my father can survive the catastrophe smoothly. Although she said so, Bai Sukin still felt guilty. Bai Suxin accidentally glanced at the cave mansion where Xiao Chen was located, and Bai Suxin caught this detail immediately. Sister, are you trying to trick Mr. Xiao? After taking a deep breath, Bai Suxin said tentatively. Who would have thought that after these words, Bai Sukin seemed to be stimulated, and her furry tail suddenly trembled and stood up. I don't. After raising her head and shouting in a low voice, Bai Suxin was stunned for a moment, and Bai Sukin was also a little panicked. Then I realized she was overreacting. I was just wondering, who is this Mr. Xiao? Why is it that at such a young age, one has such extraordinary abilities? He actually helped his father break the shackles of his bloodline with just a raise of his hand. Seeing Bai Suxin looking at her quietly, Bai Sukin was a little frightened, and finally explained with a guilty conscience. These two sentences, Bai Suxin's eyes narrowed, and then she sighed softly. My sister doesn't have much contact with Mr. Xiao, but he is indeed a strange person. Immediately, Bai Suxin told Bai Sukin everything about her acquaintance with Xiao Chen, which made Bai Sukin's heart ripple. Unexpectedly, the Xuanqing snow lotus pill that saved her came from Mr. Xiao. That is to say, if Xiao Chen refused to hand over the elixir at that time, she would probably not be able to wake up after being severely injured and fell into a coma. It will even turn into a zombie monster completely under the infection of corpse poison. So in a sense, Xiao Chen is still her savior. Could it be? This is fate. Thinking of this, Bai Sukin's expression became a little strange, and the fox's tail couldn't help but wag. This subtle change in expression, Bai Suxin felt a little incredible. Because in her understanding, Bai Sukin has always been a cultivator and has no interest in the relationship between men and women. If not, the opponent will not practice secret techniques, lock primordial yin and condense the power of blood. But now, Bai Sukin was actually very interested in Xiao Chen, as if she was attracted to him, which made Bai Suxin feel incredible. Hey, after 10 minutes of being banged hard by me, Miss Lu Shen seemed to be shy. So you two are here. Just when Bai Suxin felt surprised in her heart and was about to ask something. As a gentle voice came, the void outside the pavilion was suddenly torn apart, and Bai Hoshan stepped out with a red face. Father, seeing this figure tearing through the void, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin both looked happy. Unexpectedly, after only half an hour, Bai Hoshan successfully passed the Thunder Tribulation. This is the second person in the history of Qingqiu Fox clan to step into the Saint Realm besides that ancestor. And with the intimidation of the strong Saint Realm. From now on, even if the Qingqiu Fox clan leaves the 100,000 mountains, even the Daqian royal family will not dare to provoke them easily. This is what the Fox clan has been waiting for so many years, but they didn't expect it to be realized so easily because of a human boy. Where is Mr. Xiao? After looking at his two daughters, Bai Hoshan asked with some doubts. There are two Saint Realm experts beside Xiao Chen, and he doesn't dare to lock onto the other person's aura without authorization. After all, this is a very impolite thing and may irritate the other party. Master Xiao is resting in the cave mansion for the time being. He said that after you come back from the Thunder Tribulation, he will identify the demonic soul-absorbing flower and then leave the Shiwanda mountain. After hearing Bai Hoshan's inquiry, Bai Suxin said concisely. What? Leaving so soon? Bai Hoshin and Bai Sukin were startled when they heard this, and then looked at Bai Suxin in disbelief. Did the Fox clan neglect Mr. Xiao? Why is he so anxious to leave? No. Bai Suxin shook her head when she heard this, and said with a bit of regret in her voice. Young Master Xiao seems to have something important to do, so it is not convenient for him to stay in the Fox clan for a long time. In fact, she is quite curious about Xiao Chen. She also wants the other party to stay longer so that she can have the opportunity to contact him and explore more of his secrets. It's a pity that the other party wants to leave, and she can't force him to stay. I still have something important to do. In that case, you only have one chance. After hearing Bai Suxin's explanation, Bai Hoshin murmured casually. Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin were immediately startled. Father, why is there only one chance? Are you trying to kidnap Mr. Xiao secretly? If Bai Hoshin breaks through to Saint Realm, he can't suppress his inner expansion and has Xiao Chen's crooked idea. Maybe it will lead to annihilation. What are you thinking? Dad, am I so confused? Would I want to kidnap Mr. Xiao? After hearing what these two daughters said, Bai Hoshin suddenly looked unhappy, but his expression became serious the next moment. Since you two are here, my father happens to have something that I need to discuss with you. This matter is related to the future rise and fall of our Qingqiu Fox clan. Whether you can shoulder the important responsibility depends on you two. After these two sentences fell, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin's eyes narrowed, and their expressions gradually became serious. Father, please tell me clearly. No matter what. If it involves the rise and fall of the Fox clan, neither of them will shirk it. Well, she is indeed the daughter born to me, Bai Hoshin. Bai Hoshin glanced at Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, then waved his hand to set up a soundproof barrier to prevent Kayan and others from overhearing his words. My father needs you to take down young Master Xiao. To put it in layman's terms, I want you to seduce him and then become his woman. What? After hearing Bai Hoshin's words, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin exclaimed, and they both raised their heads in disbelief. Let your two daughters seduce the same man together. Is this what a father can say? Isn't that too crazy? 34%. Chapter 162. If this action is related to the rise and fall of the Fox clan, then I'm willing to seduce Mr. Xiao. Don't be so surprised, your father and I are not crazy yet. Seeing the shocked faces of Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, Bai Hoshin waved his hands and explained. At first glance, this proposal may seem very immoral. But if you can think about it, you can understand the purpose of being a father. As he spoke, Bai Hoshin glanced at the cave mansion where Xiao Chen was, and his expression became somewhat respectful and enthusiastic at this moment. This young Master Xiao is the most evil and strange person I have ever seen in my father's hundreds of years. In terms of appearance, although Mr. Xiao is from the human race, he is still better than the heroes of the Fox race. In terms of talent, although there is no way to know his specific age, it seems that he should be no more than 20 years old. To break through to the Nirvana realm at such a young age, his talent far exceeds that of Su Xinduo. It may be the rumored emperor-level talent. As for ability, I don't know about other aspects of my fatherhood, but Mr. Xiao helped me break the shackles of blood today. This method is enough to shock any race. In terms of character, the other person's conversation is neither humble nor arrogant, neither arrogant nor arrogant. Obviously, they have absolute force that can crush our Fox clan, and they can step on our heads and humiliate us wantonly. But Mr. Xiao has not been blinded by his power and status. He has a gentlemanly demeanor no matter what he says or does. Such an outstanding man can be said to be the dream lover of countless women, so there is no shortage of stunning women around him. As he said that, Bai Hoshin looked at Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, and it was clear that both of them had not recovered yet. He paused and continued. So, let you two seduce Mr. Xiao and find a way to become his wife. This is not because my father wants to harm you. Although you haven't had much contact yet and don't have any feelings for each other yet, feelings can be cultivated slowly. Once you miss some people, you may not even have the chance to develop feelings in your life. Of course, my father is just discussing this matter with you and will not force you to make sacrifices. If you really don't like Mr. Xiao, then my father can only find other women from the Fox tribe and let them find ways to have a relationship with Mr. Xiao. After saying these words with a serious look on his face, Bai Hoshin also had a sad look on his face. This decision. It was a decision he finally made after careful consideration. Being a father. Naturally, I want my two daughters to find reliable partners in the future and have the ability to protect their daughters. As a clan leader, naturally, I want my own tribe to slowly become stronger. If he could help his two daughters find a man they could rely on, he could also help the Qingqiu Fox clan grow. This is undoubtedly the most perfect. In the past, this idea could only be thought of by oneself, but now with the emergence of Xiao Chen, this is completely possible. It depends on what my two daughters think. A female classmate came to the class. She said her name was Medusa and she looked very cool. Let other women from the Fox clan seduce young Master Xiao. This is not okay. When Bai Hoshan finished speaking, Bai Sukin suddenly raised her head and suddenly spoke without thinking. The fall of these two sentences. Bai Hoshan and Bai Sukin both looked over in surprise, obviously not expecting Bai Sukin's reaction to be so big. If this action is related to the rise and fall of the Fox clan, then I will be willing to seduce young Master Xiao. Seeing the two of them looking at her like this, Bai Sukin's face suddenly turned red, and she immediately spoke bravely. Several fox tails behind her swayed greatly at this time as her heart beat violently. Sister you. When Bai Sukin said something, Bai Sukin couldn't help but widen her eyes. It was like meeting Bai Sukin for the first time. Isn't that ridiculous? Is this still the training madman whose goal is to break through the eight-tailed celestial fox? Why would you agree to seduce a human man? Ha ha ha, you are indeed my good daughter. You can think so. It's really great. After Bai Hoshan was stunned for a moment, he laughed heartily. Based on his experience, naturally, it can be seen that Bai Sukin made the decision willingly and did not sacrifice herself to fulfill the mission. Although I don't understand a little bit. Since when did Bai Sukin have a good impression of Xiao Chen? But no matter what, the other party is willing to be Xiao Chen's woman. This is a great good thing for Bai Sukin herself and the Qingqiu Fox clan. What about you, Su Xin? After frowning with joy, Bai Hoshan looked at Bai Sukin, who was still confused. Among his two daughters, Bai Sukin is the most outstanding. In the future, there is no man who can get along with Bai Sukin in the Qingqiu Fox clan. Currently, there is only a human boy named Xiao Chen. So Bai Hoshan still didn't want the other party to miss it. But if Bai Sukin is not willing, he will not force the other party. Hearing Bai Hoshan's words, Bai Sukin was speechless and didn't know how to answer. She had only had contact with Xiao Chen twice. Although the other party teased her twice, she didn't feel any disgust in her heart, and of course she didn't like him inexplicably. How about this? Change the question to my father. Seeing that Bai Sukin did not refuse immediately, she felt hesitant and confused. Bai Hoshan's eyes lit up slightly and he smiled like an old fox. Do you feel disgusted with Mr. Xiao? As these words fell, Bai Sukin shook her head. Then if you were asked to choose a young and handsome man as your partner among all the people of the opposite sex you know, which one do you think is the best match for you? Seeing Bai Sukin like this, Bai Hoshan continued to ask. Xiao. Mr. Xiao. Bai Sukin frowned when she heard this, and after thinking for a while, she said the name with some uncertainty. Among all the members of the opposite sex she knows, Xiao Chen seems to be the best. Ha ha ha, since you don't dislike Mr. Xiao and think he is the best match for you, why not give yourself a chance? Like your sister, accept Mr. Xiao and change your own destiny. After hearing Bai Sukin's answer, Bai Hoshan laughed and said. This made Bai Sukin silent, and there were ripples in her heart. But father, this is all your wishful thinking. Mr. Xiao may not be interested in the two of us. After a moment of silence, Bai Sukin thought of a key point and spoke helplessly. Xiao Chen will leave soon. In such a short period of time, even if she and her sister seduce each other together, there is no way they can make any progress with each other. It's impossible. Use the magic of charm on Xiao Chen to cook the rice from raw rice, right? Don't worry, being a father will create opportunities for you. After hearing Bai Sukin's words, Bai Hoshan waved his hand and said in a low voice. The demonic soul-capturing flower has extremely strong soul-capturing power. As long as a little fragrance of the flower escapes, it can cause the souls of strong people below the celestial human realm to turbulent and produce various hallucinations. Next, my father will do some tricks on the demonic spirit seducer flower, so that the floral fragrance it emits will cause people to have erotic hallucinations. After that, I will find a reason to let you two be alone in a room. And this hallucinogenic state will not harm other people's souls. From now on, it will be up to you two to see if you can seize the opportunity. As these words fell, Bai Sukin and Bai Sukin both looked shocked, obviously not expecting Bai Hoshan to be so straightforward. This made them extremely nervous. If you mess it up, it will definitely be self-defeating. Don't worry, if something unexpected happens, Su Shin, just use your bloodline induction to call me, and I will control the development of the entire situation. As long as Mr. Xiao is not hurt, it can all be attributed to the abnormal movement of the demon spirit soul-catching flower, and the situation will not be a big mess. Seeing the shocked faces of Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, Bai Hoshin waved his hand and said. Then he told me all his plans and what he should pay attention to later. 1. 34%. Chapter 163 Old guy, he's quite courageous. The other side. While Bai Hoshin and others started to prepare, Xiao Chen finally cleared away all the loot after working for more than half an hour. And Mo Cheng and others. Although none of them are as rich as Yang Pojun, there are more than a dozen celestial human realm experts, plus some universal truth realm miscellaneous fish. The number of resources and items that can be provided is quite considerable. Excluding some useful items, even the remaining defective items allowed him to recover more than 2.8 million points. Including the previous points, his point balance should have exceeded the 5 million mark. When this thought fell, Xiao Chen then opened the properties panel to see how many points he had. Host. Xiao Chen. Physique. Innate Tao body, the soul of enlightenment. Cultivation level. Nirvana first level. Kung Fu. The technique of creating the universe. Divine ability. Heavenly demon shadowless step. Great wild true dragon fist. 5 elements heaven shaking seal. 9 turn golden body cover. 5 elements killing technique. Emperor's royal household technique. Points. 5,207,758. When it was over, I was lying on the ground picking up things, and was caught by my classmate Medusa. She thought I was peeking at her. I was really wronged. There are actually 5.2 million points. After seeing the specific points balance, Xiao Chen's face instantly burst into ecstasy. I didn't expect that just by entering the 100,000 mountains, I could gain such a considerable sum of points. It seemed that helping Lu Ruoxian recover from his injuries was really the wisest choice he made. If it were not for Lu Ruoxian, a transcendent level expert who has entered the 9th level of the saint. Just based on Kayan's words, it will undoubtedly be much more difficult to harvest so many points than it is now, and you may even have to pay a price. But now it is effortless, everything comes so easily. With so many points, next. You can spend them lavishly. After glancing at the properties panel, Xiao Chen became ready to make a move. Points are stored in the attribute panel and are just a series of numbers. Only by converting them into strength or foundation can these points truly be used. Sir, Bai Hoshin transcending tribulation is back. Just when Xiao Chen was thinking about how to use the points, Kayan's words came unexpectedly from outside the cave mansion. This made Xiao Chen raise his head slightly, with a look of surprise on his face. I didn't expect the opponent's transcending tribulation to be so fast. It seems that the difficulty of heavenly tribulation is weaker than Kayan's. When his thoughts fell, Xiao Chen stood up and walked out of cave mansion. As the door of cave mansion was opened, many figures came into view. Hoshin, thank you for your kindness in reinventing me. From now on, if the young master has any instructions, as long as I can do it for someone, I will definitely do my best for the young master. After Xiao Chen walked out, Bai Hoshin's eyes were filled with enthusiasm, and he came up and bowed to Xiao Chen. After flattering him, he took out another ring and handed it to Xiao Chen. Young master, this is the last bit of information left by the Fox clan. It can be regarded as Bai's last little gift to make up for young master's action. You are really thoughtful. After hearing Bai Hoshin's words, he also saw the ring. Xiao Chen smiled lightly and put away the ring. He helped Bai Hoshin break through to the Saint Realm level. The value he can create in the future will far exceed the current foundation of the Fox clan. So he can get these resources with peace of mind. By the way, where's the demonic soul capturing flower? Take it out and let me appraise it. After seeing your Fox clan's most precious treasure, it's time for me to leave Shiwanda Mountain. After thinking about the demonic soul captivating flower, Xiao Chen asked expectantly. Sir, the demonic soul taking flower has extremely strict environmental requirements. It needs to live in a cold place full of souls. If it is exposed to the sun, it will be burned. Furthermore, the roots of the demonic spirit seducing flower are also very fragile. Every move will severely damage the demonic spirit seizing flower's vitality. After saying that, Bai Hoshin paused and said with twinkling eyes. The Fox clan encountered a crisis just now. In order to preserve the Fox clan's heritage, Bai asked the little girl to move with the demonic soul capturing flower. Although it has just been returned to the sacred land for cultivation, the demonic soul-capturing flower still suffered some blows, and it is inconvenient to transfer it again now. As these words fell, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Just when he thought Bai Hou-shen wanted to refuse, who knew that the other party immediately spoke again. If you don't mind the trouble, let me take the young master to my tribe's sacred land and carefully identify this demon soul-taking flower. After saying that, Bai Hou-shen's expression flashed with nervousness, and the two sisters, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, couldn't help but lower their heads at this moment. If Xiao Chen is unwilling to move, even if they are fully prepared later, the plan will still be aborted at this time. To your people's sacred land. Xiao Chen frowned slightly when he heard this, with a look of confusion on his face. Qingqiu Fox Clan. There is even a sacred land. Actually, the so-called sacred land is the place where the first-generation ancestor of the Fox Clan left its legacy. Not only is the historical origin of the Qingqiu Fox Clan engraved in it, it is also the source of the Fox Clan's spiritual veins, so it is called sacred land by our clan. Seeing some confusion on Xiao Chen's face, Bai Hou-shen immediately explained. In that case, then lead the way. When Xiao Chen heard this, he didn't think too much and said calmly to Bai Hou-shen. We can only go to this sacred land of the Fox Clan first, and then find a way to get rid of the others later when we need to dismember. Well, identify the demonic soul-capturing flower. After saying that, Xiao Chen waved his hand and motioned for Bai Hou-shen to lead the way. It didn't take long. Xiao Chen and his party, led by Bai Hou-shen, also came to a cave mansion in the Fox Clan Valley. Bai Hou-shen's eyes flickered, then he raised his head and said to Xiao Chen. Sir, this sacred land of the Fox Clan has formation restrictions. Only 3 people can enter at most at one time. Once the number of people exceeds the number, the formation blockade will be activated. And this formation was arranged by the ancestors of the Fox Clan. Only people with the blood of the Fox Clan can enter the sacred land without incident. And if outsiders want to enter the sacred land of the Fox Clan, they need 2 tribesmen with the blood of the 7-tailed celestial fox to use their own blood as a guide to cover up the others' aura fluctuations. Only in this way can we safely enter the core area of sacred land without touching the precursor of the formation. As he said that, when Xiao Chen frowned, Bai Hou-shen looked at Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, and then said to Xiao Chen with a faint smile. Why don't we just let Su Xin and Su Qin take the young master in, and the rest of us will wait outside the cave mansion. Anyway, it shouldn't take too long for young master to identify the demonic soul-seizing flower. And Su Xin and Su Qin are the most outstanding people in the Fox Clan. With them here, they can answer any questions you may have. After saying these words, Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. He seemed to smell an unusual smell and turned around to look at Bai Hou-shen in surprise. He didn't say anything after that, he just said with a slight smile. Then let the 2 of them accompany me in according to what Chief Bai said. This feeling was the same as when Morong Bo asked him to take Morong Qingxie out when he was at Morong's house in Tiandu City. Could it be that Bai Hou-shen, the leader of the Fox Clan, also plans to give him a woman at this time? Give 2 away at once. But this shouldn't be possible. Even if Bai Hou-shen deliberately wants to do this, his 2 daughters are not idiots. How could I have the guts to trust him for the rest of my life after only knowing him for a short time? Sir, please come with us. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin looked at each other, looking slightly nervous and ashamed. After the 2 of them said something to Xiao Chen, they lowered their heads and led each other into the cave mansion. Old guy, you are quite courageous. You actually dare to seduce your 2 daughters and plan to take advantage of them to attack the young master. Just when Xiao Chen, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin walked into the cave mansion, with the flash of light from the formation, the cave mansion door closed. Kyan, who had been silent all this time, was playing with her manicure and spoke in a faint voice. The fall of these 2 sentences. Not only did Bai Hou-shen's expression change, but Michelle Yeoh and others were also frightened at this time. 34%. Chapter 164. Xiao Chen was unfortunately caught in the little tricks of the 2 sisters. Bai Hou-shen wants to attack the young master. Michelle Yeoh and others were shocked when they heard this. At first I thought that Bai Hou-shen couldn't get over it and was planning to use the cave mansion in front of him to imprison Xiao Chen. But seeing Kyan and Lu Ruoxian being so calm, Michelle Yeoh and others overturned this idea. There are 2 strong men in the Great Saint realm. As long as Bai Hou-shen is not crazy, he should not be stupid enough to commit suicide. Could it be? Thinking of their past betrayal experiences, Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others looked at each other, and their expressions couldn't help but become weird at this time. The leader of the Fox clan is a ruthless person. He was willing to give away his two precious daughters just to have the young master in his lap. Yunjiro and Li Mengru were still a little confused because they had never experienced cheating. Ha ha ha, the queen's words made Bai a little confused. Young master is the savior of our Qingqiu Fox clan, and we are guarded by you two guardians. How could Bai have the courage to do harm to young master? After his expression froze slightly, Bai Hoshan laughed. It seems like he is trying to pretend to be confused and get by. No need to be careless. This trick you used, the women next to me have already used it on the young master. Seeing that Bai Hoshan still wanted to refuse to admit it, Kyan said with a sneer at this moment. These two sentences fell. Bai Hoshan's expression froze in an instant, and he looked at Michelle Yeoh and others in shock. Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei, and Li Qingying suddenly looked embarrassed. When Kyan mentioned the cheating behavior some time ago, even though the three of them were celestial human realm experts, they felt ashamed at this time. As for Yunjiro and Li Mengru, after hearing this secret, their eyes widened and they looked at their senior sister in disbelief. They didn't expect that such an exciting thing would happen after they left Wanwaman. It simply broke their understanding of Michelle Yeoh and others. Don't worry, as long as you have no ill intentions towards the young master and will not harm him in the slightest, I can turn a blind eye. Of course, this premise is that the young master is interested in your two daughters. If you are not interested, I'm sorry. If you plan to seduce the young master, I will blast away the sacred land of your Fox clan as soon as possible. Seeing Bai Hoshan's extremely nervous expression, Kyan said straight to the point. She has said it before. She can accept any woman who has a relationship with Xiao Chen, but the premise is that Xiao Chen is also interested in that woman, and these women don't have any small thoughts. Bai thanked the queen for her understanding. Hearing Kai Yan speak so straightforwardly, Bai Hoshan smiled bitterly and then got straight to the point. Although Bai's move is somewhat disgraceful, it will never hurt young Master Xiao. Even if Su Xin and Su Qin are really close to Mr. Xiao, Bai will also strictly discipline them and will not let them have any wrong ideas. In the future, the queen and this gentleman will definitely be the main ones. And the Qingqiu Fox clan is also willing to form an alliance with the snake people in the future. If the snake people have any difficulties, as long as our Fox clan can help, I will never shirk something from someone. After being completely exposed by Kyan, there is little point in refusing to admit it. It's better to be honest and show your sincerity. Maybe it will also make it easier for Kyan and others to accept Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin. After all, no matter what he thinks now, this Queen Medusa and this gentle woman, they should all be Mr. Xiao's most important confidant. In this 3/3 of the harem, she has a strong right to speak. As long as they can gain the approval of these two people, after Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin get along with Xiao Chen, they will not easily have conflicts in their lives in the future. Kyan nodded lightly when she heard this, and then looked into the cave mansion. Next, she just senses the situation inside the cave mansion. If something goes wrong, she can only intervene to disrupt the situation. And Lu Ruoxian on the side. Hearing Bai Hoshan's words, his eyes couldn't help but fluctuate. This guy, you actually think that she is also Xiao Chen's woman, and the one who occupies an important position. However, Lu Ruoxian didn't pay attention to this, and just looked at Cave Mansion calmly. She is now Xiao Chen's protector. No matter what he wants to do, she must ensure his safety. After being caught by classmate Medusa, she gave me two choices, either she would be my girlfriend or I would be her boyfriend. Isn't this embarrassing for me? Xiao Chen didn't know what was going on outside Cave Mansion at this time. After following Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin into the cave mansion, the two sisters activated the celestial fox bloodline in their bodies, and then condensed a layer of white light to envelope Xiao Chen. After walking through a passage, the group came to a huge cave. The stone walls around the cave are dotted with crystals, which make the cave look somewhat dreamlike. And in the center of the cave, one plant is as tall as a person and has dark purple flowers. Strange plants emitting fluorescence also stand quietly in this cave. This is a rare soul-like heavenly material and earthly treasure, the demonic soul captivating flower, and its grade has reached the heavenly rank supreme grade level. Just one step away, this demon soul-taking flower can transform into holy medicine. Sir, this is the demon spirit soul-capturing flower, the inherited treasure of our Fox clan. However, this demon soul-catching flower is extremely dangerous. The fragrance of the flower has extremely strong soul-catching and hallucinogenic abilities. Young master, you must be careful not to fall into its trap. Seeing Xiao Chen staring at the demonic spirit seducing flower, Bai Suxin took a deep breath and spoke to Xiao Chen in a low voice. At the same time, he glanced at his sister. When Bai Suxin saw this, she also understood in her heart, gritted her teeth and moved her steps. The cultivation level of the fourth level of heaven and human was vaguely activated, and a vibrating force was transmitted to the earth below. The demonic soul-taking flower swayed slightly, and the strange floral fragrance also spread out. Xiao Chen didn't pay attention to the little actions of the two people. After entering the cave, he then used the system's identification function to identify the demonic spirit soul-capturing flower, and his confidence emerged in front of him. Demon spirit soul-catching flower, a special soul treasure of heaven and earth. The fragrance of flowers has extremely strong soul-stirring and hallucinogenic powers. Flowers contain extremely powerful soul-like medicinal power. After taking them, you can increase your own soul power. The rhizome has extremely strong spiritual power. If it is swallowed directly or integrated into some equipment, there is a certain chance that some spirituality can be born. But this ability is based on its own grade. If the grade of the integrated union is too different, the chance of spirituality being born is almost zero. The fragrance of flowers can enchant the soul and induce hallucinations. Taking the flowers can enhance the power of the soul. The rhizomes can also be used to refine weapons. There is a chance that some spirituality can be born. This is really a treasure. After seeing all the information about this demonic spirit soul-capturing flower, Xiao Chen also had a look of ecstasy on his face. He is in need of soul-like heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can enlighten spirits, which can be integrated into the remains of corpse puppets for synthesis, so that they can hopefully give birth to spiritual beings. Unexpectedly, the rhizome of the demonic soul-taking flower happened to have the effect of awakening spirits. Someone brought a pillow to him just when he was about to take a nap. It takes no effort at all. Does it smell good? Just when you feel ecstasy inside. Only then did Xiao Chen notice a strange floral fragrance drifting towards the demonic soul-taking flower, which immediately caused a turmoil in his soul. His expression also became a little dazed. Sister, it's now. Seeing Xiao Chen's body swaying slightly, Bai Suxin and Bai Suxin's eyes narrowed, and at this time they both used charm spells. There was a strange fluctuation in the soul, mixed with the lust of this world. It landed directly on Xiao Chen's body, causing Xiao Chen's body to tremble again. The whole person seemed to be hallucinating, and his expression became more dazed at this time, and his eyes turned red. It's done. Seeing this scene in front of them, Bai Suxin and Bai Suxin looked happy, and then their expressions became a little ashamed. The soul's hallucination was successful, causing Xiao Chen to fall into an illusion, arousing the other person's inner lust. Then, it's up to them to make a decision and completely integrate with Xiao Chen. But the next moment, a powerful soul wave erupted from Xiao Chen's body, and the soul illusion they cast was shattered at this time. A strong backlash also came, making their minds feel a sharp pain. This sudden change completely stunned the two sisters. 34%. Chapter 165. You want to be my son's woman, as you said before. Outside the cave mansion. After sensing the soul fluctuations inside, Qian and Lu Ruoxian's eyes narrowed, and the aura on their bodies became a little dangerous. This made Bai Hoshan look extremely nervous. You two, please wait a moment, I don't mean any harm. Seeing that the two of them seemed to want to blast away the cave mansion, Bai Hoshan spoke with some anxiety. But he hadn't finished speaking yet. A more powerful soul wave came from cave mansion, which caused the expressions of several powerful men outside cave mansion to change. The aura of the soul is so powerful and ethereal, as if it contains the avenue of heaven and earth. Has anything happened in cave mansion? Bai Hoshan turned around and looked at cave mansion with a shocked look on his face. This breath of soul, although it is far inferior to him in terms of strength, in terms of level, it is actually more powerful than his holy soul. Young master, you are indeed the reincarnation of a powerful man. After Lu Ruoxian felt this soul breath, shock and disbelief appeared on his face. If she sensed it correctly, this should be the soul of Bodhi enlightenment. It is rumored that among many soul-like physiques, it can be ranked among the top 3 terrifying existences. This kind of special soul body is not only born with soul strength that far exceeds that of its peers, it can even be in line with the great ways of heaven and earth and achieve enlightenment at any time. No matter how difficult it is to practice divine ability, they can easily master it. This type of people are simply the darlings of heaven and earth. As long as the talent is not very bad, it is enough to rely on this terrifying understanding to easily cultivate to the level of the emperor. And Xiao Chen has an innate Dao body, plus he also has the soul of Bodhi and enlightenment. With these two special physiques, how far she can go in the future is completely beyond her knowledge. Kayan's expression was calmer, because she had long known that Xiao Chen's soul was not simple, but she didn't expect that the soul's aura would be so mysterious. After being rejected by me, this Medusa classmate was very dissatisfied and said that he would challenge me to a duel after school. I was so scared. Within the cave mansion, with the explosion of this soul wave, Xiao Chen also woke up. This made both Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin look a little panicked. I didn't expect Xiao Chen's soul to be so powerful that it could break their charm. Then, what should they do next? If you don't completely charm the other person, then something indescribable will happen. Instead, the opponent broke the spell and caught them on the spot. If Mr. Xiao becomes angry because of this, then the Qingqiu Fox clan will just shoot themselves in the foot. Think of this. Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin felt panic in their hearts. Sorry, your charm skills are of no use to me. Looking at Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin who looked terrified in front of them, Xiao Chen suddenly raised his head sadly and looked up with a complicated expression. I ask you, is this young master too kind? That's why you have the courage to do this. Boom. As these words fell lightly, there seemed to be a roar in the minds of Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin. His pupils shrank violently, and his legs softened and he almost fell to his knees. Because their first reaction was, Xiao Chen was angry. Young master, this matter was my own idea. I coveted the young master's beauty and hoped to capture him. That's why he seduced Su Xin and my father and tried to seduce the young master in sacred land. I planned this incident all by myself. I hope the young master will not vent his anger on others. Suckin is willing to accept the young master's punishment. Feeling panic and uneasiness in her heart, Bai Suckin said a lot of words in a trembling voice, and then knelt down towards Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen gets angry and lets those two Saint Realm experts take action, the entire Qingqiu Fox clan will be doomed. Sir, I, Bai Suxin, am also responsible for this matter. I am willing to be punished together with my sister. I hope the young master can have a lot of people and don't anger the Qingqiu Fox clan because of this. Almost after Bai Suckin finished speaking, Bai Suxin also looked panicked. After saying these two sentences, he also knelt down to Xiao Chen. This scene made Xiao Chen stunned for a moment, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. Is he that scary? Get up. This young master will not be angry because of this. Looking at the two sisters who were pale with fright, Xiao Chen said helplessly at this time. You all want to be my young master's woman. These two sentences fell. Both Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin were stunned for a moment. They raised their heads and looked at Xiao Chen blankly. After a moment of hesitation, they both nodded slightly. Then why didn't you say anything? Seeing Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin like this, Xiao Chen couldn't help but cover his forehead and said with a bit of pain. You want to be my master's woman, as you said before. How could I know this if you didn't tell me? You don't say anything, but you want to use force on me as soon as you get started. You have a special hobby, right? Thinking of this problem, Xiao Chen has a headache. He couldn't figure out what was wrong. Is it because he is so handsome and weak that women can't help but think the opposite after seeing him? Or is he born with reverse inference attributes that can easily trigger a woman's desire to conquer, so that's why all of them want to do this? Whether it's Kayan, the queen of Medusa, the white-haired beauties from Wanwaman, or an innocent girl like Murong Qingshe. It was all because the other party pounced on him like a savage beast before he was ready. There are not many women who follow the formal procedures. Is it possible that women from other worlds don't like to confess their love, but they all like to get it right once they see each other? When Xiao Chen felt depressed, the two sisters Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin were also collectively dumbfounded. I thought Xiao Chen was going to get angry, but he didn't expect to ask such a question. Because I'm afraid of being rejected by the young master. After being stunned for a while, Bai Suckin said blankly. In their perception, Xiao Chen has no shortage of women. There are so many stunning women around, and the chances of them being rejected are very high. You have never mentioned it, how do you know that I will refuse? Hearing Bai Suckin's words, Xiao Chen felt a toothache. Moreover, if you want to use force against me, you can wait until you are rejected and then seduce me again. This seems more reasonable, doesn't it? There is no explicit or implicit statement at all. You use force on me right from the beginning. Don't you think it's unreasonable? After being reprimanded by Xiao Chen like this, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin were both stunned. Both of them were stunned on the spot, not knowing what to say. Everyone, get up. Seeing the two people looking at a loss, Xiao Chen waved his hands helplessly. Then young master. We. After standing up, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin looked at Xiao Chen with shameful expressions and hesitated to speak. Charm Xiao Chen suffered backlash and was destroyed, but now she doesn't know how it ended. What you did today made me very angry. Although I won't be angry with you because of this, you two will not be able to escape some punishment. Looking at Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, Xiao Chen said with a slight smile. He originally liked the little fox girl, but now a pair of sisters came to his door. If he doesn't experience the feeling of stroking his big, fluffy tail today, then he really won't be a man anymore. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen looked like a tiger and rushed towards Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin. Next. It's time to hunt, and this evil land should see red. 34%. Chapter 166. Everything about me comes from him. How can I restrain him? Outside the cave mansion. When Xiao Chen started harvesting, Kaiyan suddenly opened her eyes and waved her hand to create a barrier, completely cutting off cave mansion from the outside world. You Fox clan are very lucky, you got your wish. After saying something to Bai Hoshan, Kaiyan waved to the others. Next, let's all disperse. Young master will not leave cave mansion without a day and a night. Based on her past experience, this day and night was just a conservative estimate, and she couldn't determine the specific time. After all, Xiao Chen's fighting spirit is high now and she is at her peak. Even she is quite afraid. Now the two little foxes were having an easier time. One day one night, Bai Hoshan was dumbfounded when he heard this, and even Yun Jiro and Li Mengru had expressions of disbelief on their faces. Is this too long? After such a long period of hand-to-hand fighting, would there really be no accidents? After opening his mouth, Bai Hoshan didn't say anything in the end. After all, this was the result he expected. Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin have the celestial fox bloodline, and they are both born with charming bones and special physiques. Even if they have never experienced an actual battle, it is not something that ordinary people can withstand. So no matter how strong Xiao Chen is, he probably can't kill his two daughters. After all the thoughts in his mind fell, Bai Hoshan left with a smile. Now things are going their way. In the future, as long as the Qingqiu Fox clan does not make mistakes, they will definitely be able to take advantage of this opportunity to soar into the sky in the future. Senior sister, is this Mr. Xiao really so powerful? After Bai Hoshan left, Yun Jiro and Li Mengru looked at Michelle Yeoh and others with strange expressions, and suddenly asked curiously. This sentence fell. Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others immediately turned red, and the former rolled his eyes and spoke with some aftertaste. Young master is not generally strong, but rather ridiculously strong. Often just a burst of energy can send your soul flying 9 days away. Quote ? Hearing Michelle Yeoh's two words, Yun Jiro and Li Mengru were completely confused, and they obviously didn't understand what the other party was talking about. Forget it, you two are inexperienced and I won't understand even if I tell you. Seeing Yun Jiro and Li Mengru's eyes widening, and Lu Hanfei and Li Qingying looking ashamed, Michelle Yeoh waved her hand and directly changed the subject. If you two are interested in the young master, senior sister can explain to you carefully about the young master's affairs during this period. If there is a suitable opportunity in the future, senior sister will help you lead the way. If you can grasp the master, you will be able to keep pace with the senior sisters in the future. As these few words echoed, Michelle Yeoh and others also left collectively. And as several people left one after another, only Kaiyan and Lu Ruoxian were left outside the cave mansion. He's like this. Don't you restrain him? After a moment of silence, Lu Ruoxian suddenly asked. This little guy from the sky-swallowing python clan should have an extremely cold, arrogant and strong personality, but he is able to indulge his man in his mischief. This made her feel a little incredible. He is the Lord and I am the second. Everything about me comes from him, how can I restrain him? Kaiyan shook her head when she heard this, and replied calmly. What's more, looking at the vastness of martial Dao from a distance, if you have a close friend by your side, this is already a great blessing in life. If you ruin this beautiful marriage because of your own possessiveness, it will be more of a loss than a gain. After Kaiyan finished these few words, Lu Ruoxian's expression was slightly startled. Obviously didn't expect. This woman who was dozens of times younger than her could actually have such an open-minded state of mind. It actually surprised her. Sister Ruoxian, can you tell me something about the things outside Dongwang? While Lu Ruoxian was slightly dazed, Kyan asked nervously after struggling for a while. She already has a certain understanding of the world outside the Eastern Wasteland through her bloodline inheritance of memories. But after all, it is not very comprehensive. And the future. She and Xiao Chen will definitely get out of Dongwang, so if they can understand it in advance now, they won't feel at a loss when they get out of Dongwang in the future. Of course, there is one more thing. It was Kyan who wanted to try to understand Lu Ruoxian's past. After all, this was a woman who once stood at the top of the continent. She is also the only woman who has appeared around Xiao Chen who makes her feel oppressed. If she could have a good relationship with Lu Ruoxian, it would be of unimaginable benefit to her. After all, if the other party gave her some casual guidance, she would be able to avoid many detours. Since you want to know, let me tell you. Lu Ruoxian smiled lightly when he heard this and did not put on airs at this time. Immediately he looked at the sky in the distance and began to talk about the world outside the Eastern Wasteland. A new classmate wanted to challenge me. I ran away as soon as school was over. Unexpectedly, she blocked me in the corridor. It was so disgusting. The next morning, looking at Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin who had fallen asleep, the corners of Xiao Chen's mouth curved slightly. She is indeed a little fox girl. The one with a tail is indeed more exciting than the one without a tail, and it also allows him to satisfy all his previous fantasies. Even with the perfect conclusion of this incident, his cultivation reached the 3rd level of nirvana. Even in a good mood, Xiao Chen was not stingy. He directly spent 160,000 points to upgrade Bai Suckin's bloodline talent to Saint level supreme grade. Successfully transformed into the 8-tailed celestial fox bloodline, and his cultivation level was also promoted to the 5th level of heaven and human realm. As for Bai Suxin, because of the bloodline's return to his ancestors, his bloodline level had already reached Saint King low grade, so he did not help the opponent to upgrade. However, under his nourishment, the opponent's cultivation level also broke through one after another, directly reaching the 9th level of Grotto Heaven. Next. It's time to take away this demon soul-taking flower. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen came to the demon spirit soul-captivating flower, and while Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin were still asleep, he dug up this spiritual plant during the burst of true energy. Only a section of the roots is left, still in the soil. System, repair this demon soul-taking flower. After putting the body of the demonic soul-capturing flower into the system space, Xiao Chen immediately issued a repair order to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 38,000 points and is repairing the demonic soul-capturing flower for the host. As the system beep fell, a burst of white light also erupted in Cave Mansion. A brand new demonic spirit soul-taking flower grew out of the remaining roots almost in the blink of an eye. This scene, if Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin saw it, they would be stunned on the spot. Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin both woke up as if they felt the movement in Cave Mansion. Seeing Xiao Chen standing in front of the demonic soul-captivating flower, the two sisters felt aches and pains all over their bodies. This made them sigh with emotion. Xiao Chen was so strong that they were almost destroyed. Fortunately, I finally endured it and just fell into a short sleep. My cultivation level has been promoted to the 9th level of Grotto Heaven. My celestial fox bloodline seems to have reached the level of the 8 tails, and my cultivation level has also broken through to the 5th level of heaven and human. Feeling the changes in their cultivation and bodies, the two sisters raised their heads in shock. He looked at the man in front of him with trembling eyes, a look of reverence and enthusiasm on his face. Don't be surprised, get ready to go out. Looking at these two perfect bodies, Xiao Chen turned around and walked over and said. This sentence, the two sisters immediately exclaimed, and then rearranged their makeup in the shining light. However, just when Xiao Chen was about to walk out of Cave Mansion, a strange large stone plate appeared on the right side of Cave Mansion. Suddenly caught Xiao Chen's attention. 35%. Chapter 167 Kyan. In the past, I also had a younger sister. A defective saint-level formation disc, once activated, can teleport up to 30 people together to 100 miles away. However, due to flaws in the teleportation array, it will get stuck every time it is started, and it will take a day to buffer before the teleportation can be started again. As each piece of information emerged, Xiao Chen's face showed a hint of surprise. It turned out to be a space teleportation array. Unexpectedly, Such a rare thing actually exists in the sacred land of the Qingqiu Fox clan. Sir, that is a teleportation array left by the ancestors of my Fox clan. It is also an important treasure for our Fox clan to save our lives at critical moments. If we didn't have the help of this teleportation array today, I'm afraid we two sisters wouldn't be able to meet the young master. Seeing Xiao Chen staring straight at the array plate, Bai Suxin explained in a low voice at this time. This array disk. Let me study it, I might be able to repair it. Just when Bai Suxin was about to say something, Xiao Chen suddenly said straight to the point, which shocked both Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin. What, sir, can you repair this formation disk? Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin were both shocked when they heard this. You must know that this is a saint-level array. Within the Qingqiu Fox clan, even some elders who specialize in attacking formations are unable to perfect this formation. If Xiao Chen can really repair this formation disk, it will definitely be a great good thing for the Fox clan. Well, I took this formation disk away first and will return it to you after it is repaired. After Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin finished speaking, Xiao Chen waved his hand and took away the space array disk without explaining too much. See this scene. Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin's eyes flickered, but neither of them spoke to stop Xiao Chen. After Xiao Chen put away the array, several people also walked out of the cave mansion. Outside the cave mansion, Bai Hoshan, who came to the sacred land of the Fox clan early in the morning to watch, saw the stone door of cave mansion being opened and Xiao Chen and others walking out. A look of ecstasy instantly appeared on his face. In his perception, the auras of Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin have both changed. One has broken through to the 9th level of Grotto Heaven, and the other has broken through to the 5th level of Heaven and Man. Moreover, Bai Suckin's celestial fox bloodline has now been promoted to the 8 tails level. This Mr. Xiao is simply amazing. Sir, how's the appraisal of the demonic spirit seducer flower? In a burst of ecstasy inside, Bai Hoshan didn't dare to call Xiao Chen son-in-law, so he just pretended to be confused and came over to ask. After all, there was Queen Medusa and the mysterious protector beside her. If he thought that his daughter was on Xiao Chen's lap, he could get carried away and start taking the lead, maybe it would ruin everything. Therefore, you should be confused when you should pretend to be confused, and some relationships cannot be erased even if they exist. There is no need for him to care too much about some false reputations. It's not bad. If you use the power of the Holy Soul to nourish that demonic spirit soul-capturing flower for a while, you can probably be promoted to the saint level. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this. As he spoke, he looked at Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin, and continued speaking in a low voice. In addition, I have a crush on Su Xin and Su Qin, and I may take them away from the Fox Clan Valley in the future. Of course, I will not restrict their freedom. If they want to come back in the future, they can come back. In addition, I have already taken out the space array disk of your sacred land. After I complete the repair, I will return it to you. When Bai Hoshan heard the words and didn't say anything, Xiao Chen started talking a lot, confusing Bai Hoshan. Young master, can you still repair that piece of teleportation array? After the goddess calmed down for a moment, Bai Hoshan said in shock. The previous 2 sentences were directly ignored by him. Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin have become Xiao Chen's women. Even if Xiao Chen doesn't speak, he still wants them to stay with Xiao Chen. Only in this way can the two of them explore their potential to the extreme, and have a chance to surpass this old guy in the future. Therefore, he wished Xiao Chen could take away Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin, not to mention that they would be able to return to the Fox clan in the future. With a little research, it should be possible to fix it. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this, with a touch of confidence on his face. The flaw of that formation disk is that the space formation is incomplete, and it only needs to be repaired. He can even use this formation disk to build a terrifying space transmission chain that can easily link several major forces. This is his true purpose. Ha ha ha, in this case, there is Mr. Lao Xiao. Bai Hoshan was ecstatic when he heard this, and immediately raised his hands to Xiao Chen. If this space array can be repaired, it will be another powerful trump card for the Fox clan. For the Qingqiu Fox clan to meet Xiao Chen in a time of crisis, it was truly a blessing from God. After a brief negotiation, Xiao Chen was ready to return to Cave Mansion. Now I have the points. The demon spirit soul captivating flower has also been obtained, and it's time to improve the foundation. But just when he was about to leave, suddenly she saw Kyan standing not far away, looking at Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin. Her expression turned a little sad. This made his eyes freeze, and he immediately walked towards Kyan. I was forced to have no choice but to go to the warehouse with my classmate Medusa for a duel. Unexpectedly, I accidentally broke her stockings. Are you angry with me? Seeing Kyan frowning slightly, Xiao Chen asked in a soft voice. Could it be? He took in the two sisters Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, making Her Majesty the Queen unable to help but feel sad. No, how could this king be angry with the young master because of a trivial matter? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Kyan immediately shook her head, with a look of reminiscence on her face. I just saw them and thought of my dead sister. You still have a sister. Xiao Chen's eyes suddenly condensed when he heard this, and he looked at Kyan in surprise. This matter. He had never heard Kyan mention it. Moreover, no one seems to be spreading it within the great Qian dynasty. Unexpectedly, Kyan actually has a younger sister. Is this an unknown secret? Well, actually, when I first met the young master, he asked me my real name. The king told lies to the young master. Once upon a time, I had a name called Scale. My sister gave it to me. She said, I was as cold as a snake's scales all day long, so she gave me such a name. And she longs for a free life, wants to fly freely like a butterfly, and doesn't want to be bound to the snake people. So I named myself Butterfly. It's just that after her death, I didn't want to think about the past memories anymore, so I never mentioned that name again. Kyan said sadly as she watched the birds singing and the flowers fragrant in the valley. Hearing Kyan's words, Xiao Chen suddenly fell silent. But then, after hesitating for a while, he still asked. Can you tell me how your sister died? If it touches a painful spot for you, it's okay if you don't want to say it. The reason why I ask this. Is it because Xiao Chen cares more about Kyan in his heart, or wants to know about the other person's past experiences? Especially when it comes to loved ones. It doesn't matter. This was all 200 years ago. Kyan smiled faintly when she heard this, and said with a somewhat dazed expression. My sister and I are both heirs of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python bloodline of the snake people, and her bloodline concentration is slightly stronger than mine. But the bloodline of the colorful sky-swallowing python has been in deep sleep since we were born. Only by entering the ancestral land of the snake people and accepting the test, can we activate the bloodline of the sky-swallowing python and become the new generation of Medusa of the snake people. And it was during that inheritance test that she voluntarily gave up her qualifications in order to save me who was seriously injured. After integrating the power of the seven-colored sky-swallowing python's bloodline into my body, I fell into the abyss of the ancestral land of the snake people and lost all traces. 35%. Chapter 168. This kind of flawless woman is really his best wife. Falled into the abyss and lost track. After hearing Kyan's last words, Xiao Chen's eyes couldn't help but condense. I just lost her trace. How can you be so sure that your sister is dead? As the saying goes, if you want to see someone alive, you want to see their corpse if they die. Defining the other party's death too early before seeing the other party's body may sometimes be just a misjudgment. She is already dead. Kyan shook her head when she heard this, and continued with a sad voice. I watched her fall into the abyss of the ancestral land, and then fell into a coma due to her bloodline awakening. But after waking up, I wanted to go to the abyss of my ancestral land to look for her, but several elders had already found her first. According to what the elders said, she fell into weakness because she transferred most of her bloodline power to me. After falling into the abyss, she was shattered into pieces and died completely. The elders didn't want me to see her miserable appearance. Before I woke up, she was completely cremated. Only one bracelet belonging to her was left, which I kept in the snake tribe's palace. After saying these words, Kyan fell into silence. Xiao Chen didn't know what to say at this time. Although he wanted to say it again, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, it might not be true. But calm down and think about it. 200 years have passed now. If the other party was really not dead yet, he would have reappeared in front of Kyan long ago. What's more, several elders also took out each other's bracelets, so Kyan, the younger sister, may have been reincarnated. Unless the elders are lying. If your sister sees that you have become an excellent queen of the snake people, she will be proud of you in heaven. Suppressing the unrealistic thoughts in his heart, Xiao Chen could only comfort him. If there is a chance, when it comes to the snake people, let's go pay homage to this sister-in-law again. It's just that I got pregnant for a moment. Young master, you don't have to worry about me. After hearing Xiao Chen's comfort, Kayan said with a faint smile. But even though she said this, she still felt warm inside. Xiao Chen, he is the second most important person in her life, just as irreplaceable as her sister before. Therefore, she cherishes Xiao Chen very much. If her sister knew that she had a partner, she would be very happy. It's a pity the fate didn't go as planned, and the two loved ones were separated. Lu Ruoxian on the side. After hearing the conversation between Xiao Chen and Kai Yan, something strange flashed in his eyes. The emotions of racial creatures are indeed the most complex. Because I broke a pair of stockings, classmate Medusa asked me to go shopping with her the next day. She looked like as if she would kill me if I refused. Next, after comforting Kayan and saying goodbye to Bai Suxin and others, Xiao Chen came to the cave mansion. This time, not only Kayan followed in, but also Lu Ruoxian. Of course, it was Kayan's suggestion that the other party followed in. Because of this, only then can we see more of Xiao Chen's methods, and only then can we leave more indelible traces in the heart of this empress. Only then is it possible. Turn this divine maiden Emperor Lu into Xiao Chen's person. If Xiao Chen knew Kayan's thoughts, he would be so moved that he would knock her down on the spot and directly reward her with billions of baptisms of life essence. Not only can she protect him with great strength, but she can also frighten other women into submission. Now she is still thinking of helping him win over this empress. This kind of flawless woman is truly his best wife. As for Xiao Chen, ignoring the two men and following him in, he casually took out a storage ring. This was the last resource item that Bai Hoshan gave him after breaking through Saint Realm. After some consumption, his points have dropped from more than 5.2 million to the current 5.02 million. If you can add a few more points, that would be the best. Next moment, as the soul's thoughts penetrated into the storage ring, various items also came to mind. There are only a few 100,000 spiritual crystals, but the resources and items are okay. After a brief classification, Xiao Chen issued a recycling instruction. Ding! The system is recycling all designated items. Congratulations to the host for earning 286,364 points. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up slightly when he heard the system beep. Although more than 280,000 points is not a huge amount, it is still an unexpected gain. Repair that space array disk first. Seeing that the points balance increased to more than 5.3 million, Xiao Chen had a satisfied smile on his face. Then he took out the space array disk from the system space. This scene, Lu Ruoxian's eyes narrowed slightly. Xiao Chen just said that he has the ability to repair this space array, but the opponent's cultivation level is only at the nirvana level. Many formation patterns require precise control of yuan power, and if one is not careful, the formation will be destroyed. Could it be that the other party wanted her to repair the array, so Kayan asked her to come in? System, repair this formation disk. When Lu Ruoxian finished his thoughts, Xiao Chen had already given an order to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 50,000 points and is repairing the space array disk for the host. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up slightly when he heard the system prompt. It seems that the flaw of this array plate is not very big, otherwise it would not only cost 50,000 points. After all, repairing or upgrading something above saint level can easily cost 100,000 points. Next moment, in the eyes of Lu Ruoxian and Kayan, Xiao Chen pressed one hand on the space array disk, and a burst of white light erupted. The entire space formation disk erupted with a buzzing sound, and formation patterns flashed continuously. The space around Xiao Chen was also distorted, as if he was about to be teleported away by the formation disk. Hiss, is this repaired? Seeing the scene in front of her, Kayan was relatively calm, while Lu Ruoxian looked shocked. Just press it lightly and the array disk is repaired instantly. To know, this is a saint-level array. Even a supreme-level expert who is proficient in formations must at least make a few casual gestures to repair it. But Xiao Chen is only in the nirvana realm now, and has no way to mobilize the power of the law, yet he can still do it so casually. This simply broke her conventional understanding. Enter saint-level low-grade space array disk. This ability can randomly teleport 50 people to 10,000 miles away. If there is another space array disk connected to a fixed point in space, the maximum transmission distance can be increased 5 times on the original basis. After the repair, the properties have become so much stronger. After using the identification function to re-identify the properties of this plate, even Xiao Chen was surprised at this time. Being able to position and connect with other space formation disks was in line with his requirements, but just one formation disk was not enough. He wanted to connect the Snake Clan, Wanhua Clan, Qingqiu Fox Clan, and the Shao family. After this, as long as one party is in trouble, the other parties can immediately provide support. With a call and 100 responses, see who has the courage to provoke them. You have such attributes when you enter Saint level low grade. I wonder how much higher these attributes can be enhanced when you upgrade to Saint level supreme grade. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen spent another 160,000 points to upgrade the array to Saint level supreme grade, and the attributes in front of him also changed again. Enter Saint level supreme grade space array disk. This ability can randomly teleport 50 people to 100,000 miles away. If there is another space array disk connected to a fixed point in space, the maximum transmission distance can be increased 10 times on the original basis. The number of people teleported has not changed, but the teleportation distance has increased several times. This attribute has been increased quite well. After glancing at the attribute changes, Xiao Chen wrapped the formation disk with his true essence and sent it to Lu Ruoxian. Cut it into 100 pieces for me. Forget it, let's cut it into 80 pieces. Lu Ruoxian now only has the cultivation level of Saint level 9, and this formation disk is the Saint level supreme grade formation disk. The material of the array disk is also very strong, and it is not easy to cut it open. So it was better to cut it into 80 pieces to prevent him from having difficulty repairing it to a complete state due to errors. 35%. Chapter 169 Young Master, can your ability be applicable to living beings? Cut it into 80 pieces. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ruoxian was slightly stunned. This disc has been repaired with great difficulty, and now we have to cut it into 80 pieces. How about playing? Young Master can divide a complete thing into dozens of parts, and each fragment can be restored into a new complete body. In this case, by taking one item and repairing it, you can get dozens of complete original items. Seeing Lu Ruoxian looking a little confused, Qian explained calmly from the side. Wah! What? After hearing Qian's explanation, Lu Ruoxian's pupils shrank. She, who had always been gentle and indifferent, was also frightened at this time. This kind of creator-like method cannot be accomplished even by a powerful emperor. How could the Xiao Chen in front of him have such a method? With emotions of shock and hesitation, Lu Ruoxian also activated his cultivation at this moment, and the willow leaves condensed with terrifying edges, and immediately flashed across the space array. The array disk that entered the Saint level supreme grade was cut into 80 parts in an instant. Such a powerful control of the true energy made Qian's eyes unable to help but condense. The material of this array disk is very unusual. If she were to blow it into pieces, she can totally do it. But if it were to be neatly cut into 80 parts like this, it would still be difficult to do with her current level of cultivation. Well done. Looking at the dozens of scattered space array fragments, Xiao Chen glanced at Lu Ruoxian with some appreciation. Having a powerful empress by your side makes everything easier. System, repair this fragment of space array disk. The next moment, Xiao Chen casually put away many space array fragments, leaving only one piece to issue repair instructions to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 150,000 points and is repairing the space array disk for the host. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. That piece of space array fragment seemed to have acquired self-healing ability and returned to its original appearance in the blink of an eye. Such an incredible scene completely stunned Lu Ruoxian. Just now, Xiao Chen made this formation disk upgrade and transform with just one click. She was already shocked. I didn't expect Xiao Chen could have such terrifying methods. Sir, can your ability also be applied to living beings? Lu Ruoxian asked with a trembling voice after feeling a turmoil in his heart. If this ability can also work on living beings, then Xiao Chen, can't he copy countless peerless powerful men? This ability is also limited. The fragment of an item that I want to restore to its complete form must reach 1% of the size of the complete body, otherwise I will not be able to use this ability at all. Furthermore, I can only repair the body and soul of a creature, but I have no way of interfering with the true spiritual consciousness of a creature. After hearing Lu Ruoxian's inquiry, Xiao Chen had nothing to hide, so he immediately smiled and explained. For example, I can use part of your flesh and blood to repair a complete body. But this body is just an empty shell. Apart from the talent potential and the power of qi and blood, it does not have any cultivation or related soul consciousness. Even this empty shell, after countless years of evolution, successfully gave birth to a little spirituality, and finally evolved into true spiritual consciousness. It's just a brand new life form, it has nothing to do with your consciousness. Hiss. After hearing Xiao Chen's explanation, Lu Ruoxian still took a deep breath with a look of disbelief on his face. Even if you can just copy the body, this is already a very terrifying thing. After all, the more terrifying a person's cultivation is, the more terrifying his physical potential will be. If one could copy the bodies of some powerful emperors and refine them into terrifying puppet clones. This is simply unimaginable horror. After I bought a pair of stockings for my classmate Medusa, she was so happy that she sent me a selfie and said that she would give me a surprise when I came to school, but I just wanted to sleep for a while. System, upgrade this array disk to Saint King Supreme Grade. Xiao Chen ignored Lu Ruoxian's shock, his eyes fell on the space array disk again, and then issued an upgrade command to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 600,000 points and is upgrading the space array disk for the host. As the system prompts fell, dazzling white light also flashed and erupted, and the formation disk erupted with terrifying spatial fluctuations. If it weren't for Lu Ruoxian and Kaiyan's burst of cultivation to suppress the space, the entire cave mansion would have collapsed under such fluctuations. It actually requires 600,000 points. Xiao Chen's mouth twitched slightly when he heard the system's prompt to deduct points. Hundreds of thousands of points are easily consumed, and no matter how many points you have, you can't afford to squander it. I hope the properties of this thing won't disappoint me too much. When his thoughts fell, Xiao Chen looked at the formation disk, and information emerged one after another. Saint King Supreme Grade Space Array Disk. 100 people can be randomly teleported 5 million miles away. If there is another space array disk connected to a fixed point in space, the maximum transmission distance can be increased 10 times on the original basis. In addition, this array plate can be embedded on the mysterious ark or chariot, and once activated, it can have the ability to jump in space. This attribute is much more powerful than entering the saint-level supreme grade. After seeing the attributes in front of him, Xiao Chen's eyes lit up slightly. Not only have the basic attributes increased dozens of times, but they can also be embedded on other items, making it much more practical than before. And if there are other space arrays to cooperate with fixed point transmission, the farthest transmission distance can even reach an astonishing 50 million miles. What a concept! Even the Great Qian dynasty, this huge area, does not exceed 5 million miles from north to south. The one-way teleportation distance of 50 million miles was enough for him to go directly from the southernmost edge of the eastern wasteland to the northernmost edge of the eastern wasteland. That is to say, with this Saint King level supreme grade space array disk, we can combine it with several Saint level array disks for correlation. No matter where he is in the eastern wasteland, he can instantly return to the Xiao family in Luyun City. This kind of function is simply abnormal. It can be inlaid on other items, and combined with King Zhenan's purple-scaled demonic flame dragon chariot, it can create a terrifying palace. As if he thought of something, Xiao Chen's eyes became brighter. Yang Pojun is an old boy. Not only did he build himself an emperor's robe, he also built a magnificent flood dragon chariot. However, the corpses of the two purple-scaled demonic flame dragons have not yet completely given birth to spirituality. Before Yang Pojun broke through to the Saint Realm, he was completely unable to control these two demonic flame dragons. He can only seal it and store it in a ring. Now this chariot is more advantageous to him. However, there is no rush to build the chariot. We should first improve our strength and foundation. When thoughts are turning, Xiao Chen did not immediately take out the chariot to synthesize it, but instead focused on Lu Ruoxian and Kaiyan. System points cannot directly improve his cultivation. He can only improve it slowly through upgrading resources. But he had only been practicing for a month, and the starting point of his cultivation was still too low after all. Even if you invest the remaining points on yourself, you won't be able to exert your maximum effect immediately. But if he invests in these two women, his high-end combat power will change instantly, and his life safety will be more secure. When the thought falls, after Xiao Chen weighed it up, he asked Lu Ruoxian. 1. 35%. Chapter 170. We are all our own women, we can't favor one over the other. Your cultivation. What is the highest level that you can recover to when you are suppressed by an ominous force? Although the ominous power of the Lord of the Dark Forbidden Zone was temporarily suppressed by Lu Ruoxian. But Lu Ruoxian was also restricted because of this, and he could only display part of his own cultivation. My soul state is still relatively weak now. I can exert my cultivation to enter the 9th level of the saint. This is already the limit of my current state. If you want to return to the Saint King realm or the Supreme realm, you must first restore your soul state. As long as the soul state can be restored, it can reach the Supreme 9th level. If you want to return to the realm of Emperor cultivation, you must purify the ominous power. After hearing Xiao Chen's inquiry, Lu Ruoxian sighed softly. Once the soul falls into a weak state, it will be difficult to recover unless a soul treasure can be found. Xiao Chen fell silent immediately after hearing this. Unexpectedly, Lu Ruoxian's condition was weaker than he imagined. At present, he can only use his cultivation level to enter and exit the 9th level of the saint. It's not a big problem. Since you need to restore your soul state in order to control higher cultivation power, then I will help you restore your soul state. After his eyes flickered, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and said, but for now, it can only restore you to the 9th level of Saint King. If you want to recover in the future, you will have to find more resources. What? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ruoxian couldn't help but tremble. Helping her recover would definitely consume a lot of resources. I didn't expect that Xiao Chen would help her so much and be willing to dedicate himself to her. This made Lu Ruoxian feel complicated inside, and Xiao Chen didn't pay attention to what Lu Ruoxian was thinking. After saying these 2 sentences, he took out the demon spirit soul capturing flower from the system space. Next moment, with the explosion of true energy, he cut the demonic soul capturing flower into 50 parts, and then repaired and upgraded one of them. Ding! The system has deducted 37,000 points and is repairing the demonic soul capturing flower for the host. Ding! The system has deducted 750,000 points and is in the process of upgrading the host to the demon spirit soul capturing flower. As 2 prompt tones fell in succession, a dazzling light also shone. The fragment of the demonic soul capturing flower was repaired to perfection in the blink of an eye, and evolved to the transcendent level in the blink of an eye. Directly upgraded from heavenly rank supreme grade to Saint King supreme grade. Terrifying soul fluctuations suddenly shook and spread. Seal it quickly. Feeling the violent vibrations in the soul body of the consciousness sea, Xiao Chen immediately shouted to Qian and Lu Ruoxian. Qian and Lu Ruoxian also reacted quickly. Almost at the moment Xiao Chen's words came out, the 2 of them exploded with soul power at the same time. The shadow of an 8-color sky swallowing python and the shadow of a willow tree covering the sky. In an instant, he suppressed the demonic spirit soul capturing flower and completely sealed the spiritual plant on the spot. Fortunately, the transformation time is too short, and it has not yet given birth to spirituality. If not, once it becomes a climate, with the strength of the 2 of you, it will be difficult to suppress it. Looking at the sealed demon spirit soul captivating flower, Xiao Chen immediately said with lingering fear. This kind of transformation of natural resources and earthly treasures is risky. Because the other person has not yet been born spiritually, he cannot fully control his energy after his own quality has transformed. A small amount of medicinal energy escaping is enough to affect the surrounding creatures. And if a spiritual person is born, he will be very fond of him. Although he would be able to control the energy and not hurt him, Xiao Chen was too embarrassed to hit the opponent with a fatal blow. Cut it in half. You can refine the flowers to restore the soul state, but the roots can be used by me for other purposes. Looking at the demonic spirit soul-seizing flower in front of him, Xiao Chen immediately gave instructions to Lu Ruoxian. Saint King level treasures of heaven and earth. If word spread, it would be enough to drive all the forces in the eastern wasteland crazy, but at this moment, it seems so ordinary in front of him. Thank you, sir. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ruoxian's heart trembled slightly, as if warmth was flowing through him. During the years when she was practicing to become an emperor, except for the vegetation spirits of the same kind as her, other creatures only have greed and covetousness for her. After all, she became an emperor through 10,000 years of willow cultivation, and every inch of her body can be said to be a supreme treasure. And Xiao Chen is definitely the only alien creature in her thousands of years who is not greedy or coveted for her, and who also wants to help her selflessly. This made her heart become more complicated and moved. Because my classmate Medusa sent me a selfie, after I fell asleep. I actually dreamed of banging her against my wall. This is really sinful. I'm almost late for school. When the thought falls, a willow leaf tore through the void and landed on the demonic soul-taking flower, instantly splitting the flower and rhizome into 2 halves. It's not enough to restore the soul state, you also need the soul restoration purple pill. Looking at the disconnected demon spirit soul-taking flower, Xiao Chen put away the rhizome with a wave of his hand, and then took out the soul-reviving purple pill. After spending more than 700,000 points, the elixir was directly upgraded to Saint King level. The Saint King Supreme Grade Purple Pill of Restoration also fell into Lu Ruoxian's hands, and the Empress was deeply moved. With these two treasures complementing each other, as long as she takes some time to completely refine them, it is not difficult to return to the 9th level of Saint King. This terrifying recovery speed simply exceeded her imagination. Maybe it won't take too long for her to get rid of the unknown power of darkness and return her cultivation level to the 8th level of the Emperor. And all of this is thanks to Xiao Chen. Don't worry, you have it too. Seeing that Qian seemed a little envious, Xiao Chen immediately smiled and said. As he spoke, he took out a fire from the system space, causing the surrounding temperature to continue to rise. The two people in front of him were both his women, so he couldn't favor one over the other. Of course, although Lu Ruoxian has not been captured by him yet, it is already his forbidden love in his heart. It was only a matter of time before the other person became his woman. This is the natural fire of the purple-scaled demonic flame dragon. It was obtained by that old boy Yang Pojun when he hunted the purple-scaled demonic flame dragon. I wanted to cultivate it to the saint level, so that I could enter the saint realm by devouring it. I didn't expect to meet our group. This fire is now an advantage for us. Looking at the beast fire source in front of him, Xiao Chen smiled and explained. As he finished speaking, Xiao Chen issued an upgrade instruction to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 160,000 points and is in the process of upgrading the fire of the purple-scaled demon dragon for the host. As the system beep sounded, the purple-scaled demonic dragon fire seed was directly promoted to the saint-level supreme grade. A terrifying wave of scorching fire broke out in Cave Mansion in an instant. But Lu Ruoxian and Qian were already prepared. Before the flames completely erupted, the true energy seals were suppressed at this time. Thank you, sir. Looking at the purple flame in front of her, Qian felt moved. This flame, in terms of levels, it is just beast fire, not as good as strange fire, a world-like thousand-year earth core fire. But at this time, the quality of this thing has been upgraded to saint-level supreme grade. If she could completely refine it, her cultivation would be enough to break through several small realms. Well, although you are only at the 3rd level of saint cultivation, you have the bloodline of a Saint King level sky-swallowing python. There should be no problem in refining this ball of beast fire. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and spoke in a soft voice. The words fell. Xiao Chen took a look at his points balance and found that there were only over 2.7 million points left, which was nearly half of what he had just now. However, there was no look of distress on Xiao Chen's face. As long as the strength of the two women can skyrocket again, his ability to harvest points will become stronger and stronger. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen took out some more body parts and a bunch of messy materials. Next, it's time to synthesize a brand new corpse puppet. It's best to be the kind that can give birth to spirituality, otherwise, I'm afraid I'll just shoot myself in the foot. 35%. Chapter 171. This is simply a heaven-defying method that only the creator can have. Sir, are you planning to make a corpse? Seeing these corpses and materials appearing in front of them, Qian and Lu Ruoxian's expressions became extremely solemn at this moment. Corpse puppet. This is a kind of bloodthirsty undead creature. Once it is born, it will harm all living things in the world. Even if it is born with consciousness, it will be very cruel. As far as they know, there was once a corpse puppet that devoured the flesh and blood of living beings and became the emperor, causing hundreds of millions of miles around to turn into death. What a terrible thing. But Xiao Chen wants to refine the corpse puppet, which is what they are most worried about at this time. After the corpse puppet is refined, it will fall into a terrifying state of rampage. So next, they must be careful, otherwise something will happen. That would be big trouble. Based on the principle of the 5 elements mutually reinforcing each other, I wonder if it is possible to reverse the power of the undead and transform it into a brand new alternative corpse puppet. Looking at the corpses and many heavenly rank materials in front of him, Xiao Chen's expression gradually became a little solemn. This was also his first time to try such a crazy thing. If any monster is created, it would be a huge sin. You too. Force a few drops of blood out of me. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Chen turned his head and said, corpse puppets are generally unconscious and only know bloodlust and destruction. If this corpse puppet can give birth to spiritual beings, it is inevitable that he will have a good impression of him, but not necessarily others. Therefore, he must be fully prepared to incorporate the blood of Kayan and Lu Ruoxian. If this corpse puppet can give birth to spirituality, someone can control it even if he is not around. Kayan and Lu Ruoxian didn't talk nonsense when they heard what they said. They immediately cut their palms and forced out a few drops of blood. Kayan's blood was like yin ruby, exuding a strong fire attribute aura. Lu Ruoxian's blood was a little dark, but exuded a majestic breath of life. Next moment, after obtaining the blood of two people, Xiao Chen then took out the rhizome of the demonic soul-taking flower, mixed it into the materials, and then issued instructions to the system. The system uses the remains of the corpse puppet as the leader to synthesize all the materials in front of us. Ding! The system has deducted 180,000 points and is providing all the materials for the host integrated union. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. All the materials in front of me collided together immediately, and then blended into each other like silver. A burly humanoid shadow, accompanied by a terrifying pressure, also emerged in the white light. Roar! In the gleam of light, the burly figure also opened his eyes suddenly, his scarlet eyes carrying a cruel and bloodthirsty look. The rich corpse energy was like a tsunami, sweeping across the corpse puppet's body. Failed. Looking at the mutated corpse puppet in front of me, it has reached saint-level supreme grade potential and possesses the power of 5 different attributes. Xiao Chen had a look of disappointment on his face. Kayan and Lu Ruoxian's eyes focused at this moment. At this moment, they both exploded in cultivation, preparing to suppress this corpse puppet. But just then, as the corpse puppet saw Xiao Chen, its originally bloodthirsty scarlet eyes revealed a rare look of confusion. This also made it stop roaring, and its body froze on the spot. Could it be that it gave birth to spirituality? Seeing this scene in front of him, Xiao Chen's face showed joy and he walked towards the corpse leader. Master, be careful. Xiao Chen's action scared both Kayan and Lu Ruoxian. Their figures flickered slightly, one on the left and the other on the right guarding Xiao Chen, for fear that something unexpected would happen. Fortunately, this corpse puppet, after this kind of confusion appeared, it was like falling into a panic, just standing there in a daze. I was late for school and was caught by my class teacher. She was also the mother of classmate Medusa. She looked like classmate Medusa and she looked quite young. Hee hee. I see. Not only does he have 5 attributes of necromantic power, but his talent potential has also reached saint-level supreme grade. It's just that the bloodthirsty nature of the zombie itself conflicts with the newly born spirituality, so it causes the body to lose control. After carefully appraising the condition of the corpse leader, Xiao Chen's face revealed a hint of excitement and surprise. If you say so, as long as I upgrade it again and greatly improve its spiritual growth, this corpse puppet can be controlled. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen pressed his right hand on the corpse puppet's chest, and then issued an upgrade command to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 650,000 points and is upgrading the 5 elements undead corpse puppet for the host. 5 elements undead corpse puppet. Xiao Chen was slightly startled when he heard the system naming the corpse puppet. This name is really simple and crude. And when his thoughts fell, the 5 elements undead corpse puppet was also promoted to the Saint King Supreme grade. Of course, this means that the opponent's talent potential has reached the Saint King Supreme grade, but it does not mean that the opponent's cultivation has reached the Saint King level at this time. But even so, even at this time, this 5 elements undead corpse chief has no fluctuations in his cultivation level. But the terrifying corpse aura that permeates it is enough to make people feel horrified. What a scary big guy. With such strong fluctuations of corpse energy, the opponent will be able to easily advance to the 9th level of Saint King. Looking at the corpse leader in front of them, Kayan and Lu Ruoxian's expressions became more solemn. They didn't expect it at all. Xiao Chen was able to refine a brand new corpse puppet using some corpse puppet remains and a bunch of messy high-end materials. And a little spirituality was born. This is simply a heaven-defying method that only the creator can have. And that corpse king did not roar like a mad dog again after undergoing this upgrade. The originally scarlet eyes suddenly became animated. Next moment, this big guy with red hair rushed towards Xiao Chen with a friendly look on his face, looking like a coquettish puppy. FK, stop it, stop it. I don't want to do this. You'd better be more honest and squat. Looking at the 5 elements undead corpse leader rushing towards him, Xiao Chen held down his head. The other party seemed to understand, and squatted on the ground like a puppy. What a high level of spirituality. Seeing this scene in front of me, Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's eyes suddenly condensed. Obviously they didn't expect this corpse puppet to be so obedient. This is almost as smart as a 3-year-old child. Well, it doesn't seem to have a gender. Seeing the other person squatting there, Xiao Chen glanced at him with a look of surprise on his face. Although this guy was covered in hair, he still couldn't escape the scanning of spiritual consciousness. After finding no male or female characteristics, Xiao Chen suddenly looked surprised. But at the next moment, he didn't bother to dwell on it. Anyway, this is just a corpse puppet. Whether it has a gender or not does not seem to have any impact on him. Unless he wants to create a race of corpse puppets in the future, he can then upgrade their genders. You are the first corpse puppet created by this young master. Well, I will call you number 1 from now on, or Corpse 1. After giving this corpse puppet a codename, Xiao Chen felt that the corpse puppet had not yet cultivated enough. After his eyes flickered for a moment, he took out a corpse. And this corpse happened to be the dead Mo Chang. Roar. When the 5 Elements undead corpse puppet saw this corpse, he couldn't help but let out an excited roar, staring at the corpse with his scarlet eyes. As a corpse puppet, devouring flesh and blood essence can accelerate their growth. The quality of this corpse puppet has reached the Saint King Supreme grade, as long as there is enough flesh and blood essence to digest it. It can fully grow to the 9th level of Saint King, and does not need to undergo the long training process like other creatures. Of course the price is. It is difficult for this type of creature to evolve into advanced sanity, and the transformation of sanity takes longer than other creatures. 36%. Chapter 172. Fusion of spirits and subjugation of gods. Now you can compete in the peak competition. Swallow him. Seeing the eager look on the 5 Elements undead corpse puppet's face, Xiao Chen frowned and gave an order. Roar. After getting Xiao Chen's permission, the 5 Elements undead corpse puppet opened its mouth and immediately let out a roar. As if a miniature grotto heaven appeared in his mouth, a devouring force swept across and erupted on the spot, swallowing Mo Chang directly. Next moment, after devouring Mo Chang's body, the 5 Elements necromancer corpse puppet seemed to have taken a big tonic, and fluctuations in the necromancer's cultivation began to appear on his body. Body tempering first level, the first level of Kaiyuan, the first level of spiritual aperture. As if there is no bottleneck in cultivation, with the combination of flesh and blood essence and corpse energy, the cultivation of the 5 Elements undead corpse puppet also skyrockets crazily. Such a horrifying scene made Xiao Chen's pupils shrink slightly, and also caused Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's expressions to change. There is no bottleneck in cultivation. As long as you have enough flesh and blood essence, you can grow to your limit. Sir, this corpse puppet is really terrifying. If we don't completely control it, or if we leave some backup, I'm afraid it will be a disaster if it gets out of control. Looking at the 5 Element undead corpse puppet that was rapidly transforming in front of him, Lu Ruoxian spoke in a very solemn voice. Everything has gains and losses. All creatures that can strengthen themselves through devouring and plundering will gradually lose their minds due to the rampage of power. Eventually he became a bloodthirsty and cruel monster. Although the corpse puppet in front of him was born spiritually, if the power grows too fast, the negative power contained in it will be difficult to be tempered and purified. If spirituality cannot keep up with the surge in power, it will slowly be eroded and lose spirituality. It's a pity that she now has a dark and ominous curse in her soul, and she can no longer split the remaining soul to forcibly control living creatures. It is also difficult to transfer soul skills to others, otherwise the dark and ominous power will use her as a medium to corrode the other party. Otherwise, she could use some means to forcibly control this corpse puppet. Indeed, it is still a bit unsafe to control this corpse puppet based on spiritual favorability alone. After hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Then, as if he had thought of something, he immediately took out a bunch of things from the system space. Mo Cheng and others were from the corpse refining lineage, so they must have the means to control corpse puppets. If not, this group of people will not join forces with Yang Pojun and others to destroy the Qingqiu Fox clan and seize the demon spirit soul-capturing flower. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen rummaged through the belongings of Mo Cheng and others and found a large number of skill scrolls. These are the inherited techniques of the corpse refining lineage of the Mohists in Hengshan. This includes true energy cultivation, corpse refining techniques, and soul control, or corpse refining. There are actually soul cultivation techniques. Looking at these skill scrolls in front of him, Xiao Chen remembered at this moment that he didn't have the soul to practice the skills yet. Although the soul of Bodhi enlightenment is extremely extraordinary, without the support of corresponding skills, it can only be used to achieve enlightenment in martial arts. This is quite a waste. Perhaps it's time to get yourself a soul cultivation technique. Maybe you can also use the soul secret technique to control this 5-element undead corpse. After making a decision in my heart, Xiao Chen picked out the soul corpse control technique practiced by Hengshan Mo Chang, and also took out some fragments of the soul technique that he had kept before. Then without any hesitation, he gave the command to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 160,000 points and is synthesizing all the skills for the host. As the system prompt sounds, dazzling white light enveloped all the skill scrolls, and each rune condensed a mysterious aura, constantly intersecting and colliding on the scrolls. In an instant, after this burst of white light disappeared, the scroll that was originally engraved with the soul cultivation techniques of the Mo family's corpse control lineage burst out with a more ethereal soul aura at this moment. This scene made Lu Ruoxian stupid again. With just a wave of his hand, he can integrate several soul fragments and deduce new soul techniques. And the soul technique he created actually reached saint rank. Although she had witnessed Xiao Chen's outrageous actions today and was somewhat mentally prepared, she was still shocked at this moment. The soul technique is more mysterious than the true essence technique, and it is also more difficult to create. If she were asked to create a wood-type saint rank technique, it would not be difficult for her to do it. But let her create the saint rank soul technique in a short period of time. She just couldn't do it at all. That is to say, Xiao Chen's understanding of the soul path far exceeds that of an emperor like her. The art of melting souls and subduing gods, entering the saint level supreme grade. Not only can it smelt other remnant souls in the world to improve its own soul power, but it can also condense the soul seals of life and death into the true spiritual consciousness of other creatures. You can control the other person's life and death with just a thought. You can even use the method of divine descent to let your consciousness pass through the soul seal of life and death. Descend directly into the opponent's consciousness see soul body, thereby controlling the opponent's body instead of the guest. But this ability, it is linked to the grade of the skill. The higher the quality of the soul seal of life and death that is condensed, the higher the soul body can be controlled. At the same time, the effective distance of the divine descending method will become even further. Looking at the scroll of soul skills in front of me, relevant information came to mind. Although Xiao Chen was relatively calm in his heart, he was also shocked at this moment. Not only can it fuse spirits, but it can also control souls. Can you even use the method of divine descent to let your own consciousness descend into the puppet? With such perverted skills and attributes, even some soul clan emperors would burst into tears after seeing it, right? After returning from her mother's place, classmate Medusa suddenly said that she wanted to date me and get married after graduation. She asked me to think about it. I was dumbfounded on the spot. However, it is still a bit reluctant to enter the saint level supreme grade. It can only control the creatures below the saint level. The distance of the divine descending method is only 100,000 miles. Looking at this volume of soul skills, Xiao Chen's eyes flickered and he immediately gave the upgrade order. Ding! The system has deducted 650,000 points and is in the process of upgrading the spirit melting magic for the host. Next moment, as the system prompt sounds, the soul fusion technique was upgraded to the Saint King Supreme grade, and Xiao Chen also learned this technique in an instant. And this time, after the 5 elements undead corpse puppet devoured Mo Cheng's body, the fluctuations in his cultivation level had soared to the 7th level of the revolving pill. At this time, he opened his scarlet eyes again and looked at Xiao Chen longingly. What a terrifying growth rate. It was seen that during the period of time when he was synthesizing the technique, the 5 elements undead corpse puppet had already digested the body of a celestial human realm strongman. There was a hint of surprise on Xiao Chen's face, then he formed a seal with his hands and directly started the fusion of spirits and soul subduing technique. As a mysterious soul aura erupted, a mysterious soul seal condensed black and white also appeared in front of Xiao Chen. This scene made Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's pupils shrink sharply, because they both felt the strong throbbing from their souls, as if this soul mark was born to restrain the true spirit of the soul body. Integrated union it. While speaking, Xiao Chen raised his hand and pushed gently, and the soul seal of life and death floated towards the 5 elements undead corpse puppet. The 5 elements undead corpse puppet did not resist and allowed the soul seal of life and death to blend into the center of his eyebrows. Roar. In a low growl, The five elements undead corpse puppet's sea of consciousness erupted with a wave of soul fluctuations, and the soul mark of life and death also integrated with the other party's spiritual integrity, and a wonderful connection emerged in Xiao Chen's mind. It seemed that with just one thought, he could make the five elements undead corpse puppet self-destruct. In a single thought, the conscious body can descend to the other party's sea of consciousness through the connection between life and death soul seals and completely control the body. Swallow them. After this feeling emerged, Xiao Chen no longer had any scruples. With a wave of his hand, the corpses of Yang Pojun and his party were released, as well as a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures with five elements attributes. Because the five elements undead corpse puppet is a mutated corpse puppet created by him, it is no longer limited to only devouring flesh and blood and essence to grow. Devouring some heavenly materials and earthly treasures with five elements attributes also caused this guy's cultivation to skyrocket. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, the five elements undead corpse puppet roared and immediately swallowed all the corpses and treasures. A terrifying force of death was like a volcano erupting. The five elements undead corpse exploded into the sky, and its cultivation soared as if there was no upper limit. God descends. Seeing this scene in front of me, Xiao Chen had a look of anticipation on his face, and after closing his eyes, he silently recited these two words. A strange soul fluctuation suddenly broke out in Xiao Chen. Immediately afterwards, a strange scene happened. The five elements undead corpse puppet, which was originally roaring, froze in place at this moment. His eyes slowly closed. 36%. Chapter 173. He was so vigorous yesterday, but has he turned into a zombie today? What happened? The fluctuation of young master's thoughts seems to have descended on this corpse puppet. After feeling this strange energy fluctuation, Qian and Lu Ruoxian's expressions couldn't help but change. Could it be the young master is planning to give up his body and seize the corpse in front of him? However, as soon as this idea emerged, it was immediately overturned by the two of them. Within Kenglin Realm, after reaching Saint Realm, due to the transformation of the soul, one also has the ability to seize the body. But seizing the body cannot be used casually, because there are still many restrictions. After all, every creature, soul and body is conceived by innate, and they are basically one-to-one and natural. Between different creatures, there is basically no law manifestation between the soul and the body, and forcibly seizing the body will only lead to the collapse of the body. Even if you are lucky enough to succeed in seizing the body. Also because the body and soul cannot perfectly fit together, the bottleneck of martial arts training is 100 times more difficult than for ordinary people. If you want to regain your peak cultivation level, unless there is a heaven-defying opportunity, there will be no hope in this life. Again, Xiao Chen possesses the soul of Bodhi and enlightenment, his physical body is also innate Dao body, and there are many stunning women around him. Unless the other party's head is caught in the door, he will not give up everything to seize such a corpse. Is this a divine descent? It's really amazing. While Qian and Lu Ruoxian looked confused, the eyes of the five elements undead corpse leader also opened again. But this moment, the person who controls this body is no longer the corpse puppet himself, but an outsider, Xiao Chen. Feeling the terrifying physical power contained in this body, as well as the surge of undead power within his body, Xiao Chen couldn't help but feel a little shocked at this time. In just a few moments, the corpse puppet's cultivation level skyrocketed to the grotto heaven realm. And it is still soaring at a terrifying speed. The shock caused by the surge in power made Xiao Chen unable to help but want to vent violently after taking control of this body. Qian, fight with me. After this idea became stronger, Xiao Chen looked at Qian and Lu Ruoxian from the perspective of the five elements undead corpse. Mister. With the sudden sound of this hoarse voice, both Qian and Lu Ruoxian were startled by Xiao Chen. His eyes immediately looked at the five elements undead corpse puppet, and then looked at Xiao Chen with a shocked expression. Next to them, Xiao Chen had his eyes closed tightly, as if he was standing and falling into a deep sleep. But they could feel each other's soul fluctuations from Xiao Chen's body. This situation confused them. Don't look anymore. My soul still exists in my body, but my true spirit consciousness has temporarily descended on this corpse puppet. But this state can't last long. Seeing Qian and Lu Ruoxian's confused faces, Xiao Chen could only explain at this time. Transfer of true spirit consciousness. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Qian and Lu Ruoxian were shocked again. True spiritual consciousness can only be attached to one's own soul body. Even the supreme or the powerful emperor realm can only split the soul and carry the consciousness to come. It is impossible to directly transfer the true spirit consciousness without dividing the soul. Young master is really becoming more and more mysterious. After Xiao Chen said these words, he controlled the body of the five elements undead corpse puppet and turned into an afterimage and rushed out of the cave mansion. Next, he still needs to verify whether he can use divine ability when his consciousness descends on the corpse puppet. If you can, the combat power that this corpse puppet can unleash will be more terrifying than imagined. Qian and Lu Ruoxian looked at each other, and the latter waved his hand to create a barrier to protect Xiao Chen's body. Then the distorted space appeared in the sky above the Fox Clan Valley. After Medusa confessed to me, another classmate named Yan Lingji suddenly confessed to me. I was so confused, which one should I choose? What a terrifying wave of corpse energy. What's the situation? Could it be that people from the Mo family in Hengshan came here to take revenge? Feeling this terrifying wave of corpse energy, many strong men in the Fox Clan Valley were alarmed. Whether it's Bai Houshan, Bai Suxin and others, or Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others, they all appear in this void. After all, this is the reception area for Xiao Chen, and it is also the core area of the Fox Clan Valley. If something unexpected happens and something happens to Xiao Chen, it will be the Qingqiu Fox Clan's fault. Don't panic, that's the young master. Just when Bai Houshan and others appeared in the void, preparing to explode their cultivation to suppress the five elements undead corpse puppet, the figures of Qian and Lu Ruoxian also appeared in the void. While the words echoed, Lu Ruoxian raised his hand and sealed the void with a single tap. Bai Houshan and others were unable to take action against the five elements undead corpse puppet. Qian, on the other hand, turned into an afterimage and rushed towards Xiao Chen. What? It's young master. After hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, whether it was Bai Houshan or Lu Hanfei and others, their faces instantly turned pale. Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, on the other hand, almost fainted on the spot. Yesterday, they were whipping them so vigorously, and today they suddenly turned into corpses. What the hell does this happen? Could it be that the primordial yin of the two sisters was poisonous, which caused Xiao Chen to die suddenly and turn into a zombie? Think of this. Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin were spinning for a while, and the two sisters almost collapsed on the ground. That's just a corpse puppet refined by the young master and temporarily controlled by the young master's consciousness. Seeing that Bai Suxin and others seemed to be fainting, Lu Ruoxian's eyes fluctuated slightly and he could only add one sentence. Bai Houshan and others were all stunned. And in the void, the cultivation fluctuations emitted by the five elements undead corpse puppet have now reached the astonishing third level of nirvana, and are still soaring at a terrifying speed. Xiao Chen felt the same cultivation as him when bloodthirsty and violent thoughts came to his mind. He roared and controlled the five elements undead corpse puppet, and directly used the heavenly demon shadowless step, turning his figure into an afterimage and rushing towards Qian. A very simple and rough punch hit Qian. This made Qian's eyes slightly condensed, and she raised her hand and blasted out with a burst of cultivation. Certainly, at this time, Qian's cultivation level has been suppressed. Like Xiao Chen, he is at the nirvana level. If not, I'm afraid that one punch with her Saint Realm cultivation would be enough to blow Xiao Chen. No, it would be enough to blow the five elements undead corpse chief into pieces. And as the two figures collided, dull roars continued to resound through the void. The battle between Xiao Chen and Kai Yan also entered a fierce state. Strangeness. Is this your first time to fight, young master? Why are your fighting skills so poor? Lu Ruoxian couldn't help but have a look of confusion on his face when he looked at Xiao Chen, who was pushed down by Qian. Xiao Chen looks like a beginner, both in terms of his offensive methods and his ability to adapt during matches. Is it that Xiao Chen has not experienced any actual combat? Or has the opponent just taken control of this corpse puppet and is unable to use his previous martial arts experience? Master Lu, if you put it that way, nothing happened to the young master. While Lu Ruoxian was deep in thought watching the battle between Xiao Chen and Qian, Bai Houshan looked at the battle between the two in the void, and couldn't help but ask Lu Ruoxian. Young master is fine, just watch. When Lu Ruoxian heard this, he didn't explain too much. He just replied in a calm voice, which made Bai Houshan and others completely relieved. Although I still don't understand what is going on, it would be best if nothing happens to Xiao Chen. 36%. Chapter 174. I suddenly realized the artistic conception of the five elements, and my cultivation skyrocketed again. Don't hold back, let me fight you. In the void, as the battle heats up, the corpses and heavenly materials and earthly treasures swallowed by the five elements undead corpse puppet are being refined and absorbed at an even more terrifying speed. In less than a quarter of an hour, his cultivation reached the universal truth realm. This made Xiao Chen even more excited. But during the battle, Qian never dared to attack him too harshly because she was worried that he was in control of her body. This made Xiao Chen very dissatisfied. After all, he didn't have many opportunities to actually fight. At this time, he controls the body of the five elements undead corpse puppet. If he can't fight heartily, then his divine descending this time will be wasted. This is not my body, you don't need to be careful. Even if the physical body is unfortunately damaged, I can repair it afterwards. Seeing that Qian seemed to have many concerns, Xiao Chen couldn't help but shout at this moment. As these words fell, Qian's eyes suddenly condensed, and her breath also changed. Since the young master demands so, Qian will not be polite. After these words echoed coldly, Qian looked like a resurrected demon. Not only did his aura become more violent, but his moves also became more powerful. One after another divine ability attacks, like a violent storm, continued to hit Xiao Chen. Anyway, this is not Xiao Chen's body, and Xiao Chen has the ability to repair, so he doesn't have to worry about his body being damaged at all. In this case, there is no need for her to restrain herself and she can let go as much as she wants. They have tried to suppress Xiao Chen in terms of men and women, but they have not tried to suppress Xiao Chen with violence. At this time, as she let go of all her scruples, she actually experienced an unprecedented sense of excitement. And Xiao Chen.no, the five elements undead corpse puppet's body was in terrible shape right now. Under the control of Xiao Chen, a beginner, Qian was directly pressed into Sha Feng and beaten, and his body had already suffered multiple wounds. But for Xiao Chen, he couldn't feel the pain at all and would only fight back even more crazily. The fighting lasted for less than half an hour, relying on the terrifying understanding of the Bodhi enlightenment soul. From the beginning, Xiao Chen was suppressed by Qian and was unable to fight back. Later, at the same level, Xiao Chen was able to compete with Qian at a 50-50 level. Even the cultivation level of the five elements undead corpse puppet has skyrocketed to the 9th level of heaven and human realm, and the noise caused by the fighting has become more and more terrifying. This not only dumbfounded Qian, but also Bai Hoshan and others. Certainly, they were most shocked. It wasn't Xiao Chen's transformation in the fight, but the soaring strength of this corpse puppet, which really broke their existing understanding. Half an hour ago. Or is it that the cultivation level of Nirvana's 3rd level has now reached the 9th level of heaven and human beings? What kind of monster is this? Young master, it seems that the memory of his previous life has not been fully recovered, so just now, he was put at a disadvantage by Qian. When everyone was shocked, after observing for a long time, Lu Ruoxian finally came to such a conclusion. If not, in less than half an hour, from a beginner with no actual combat experience, to now being able to tie with Queen Medusa. In such a short period of time. Just absorbing hundreds of years of practical experience from others, this kind of learning ability is too unrealistic, right? In her cognition, even the great emperor was far from as perverted as Xiao Chen when he was a teenager. So there is only one explanation. Xiao Chen's previous battle memory has not been unblocked. At this time, the integrated union was reopened with the fight, so the opponent's progress was so abnormal. Yan Lingji's confession to me was accidentally found out by Medusa. She patted the window and asked me to choose one of the two. I could only choose her with tears in my eyes. After all, she is so fierce. Be careful. Next, I am going to use divine ability. After blowing Qian out with one punch, Xiao Chen's hoarse voice echoed in the void, and the power of the five elements of death also exploded crazily. Next moment, accompanied by several beast roars. Several huge beasts appeared behind Xiao Chen, exuding a terrifying undead aura. These phantoms are the gold-based white tiger shadow, the wood-based azure dragon shadow, the water-based black tortoise shadow, the fire-based vermilion bird shadow, and the earth-based Qilin shadow. The phantoms of the five sacred beasts stood behind Xiao Chen in 5 directions, and their terrifying pressure caused the expressions of Bai Hoshan and others to change drastically. What level of divine ability is this? It can actually summon the phantoms of the 5 divine beasts. The 5 elements are destroyed and everything is reversible. When Bai Hoshan and others were shocked, Xiao Chen fell into a mysterious state after summoning the phantoms of the 5 sacred beasts. As the murmuring words fell in the void, Xiao Chen just punched lightly. In an instant, the 5 elements of light shine in heaven and earth. The phantoms of the 5 divine beasts merged into one in the roar, and the next moment they turned into a stream of light and blasted towards the colorful smoke. What a terrifying divine ability! Is this the power that celestial human realm cultivation can unleash? Seeing this scene in front of him, Bai-Hoshin's expression changed, and he quickly broke out his cultivation to seal the void. Kyan didn't dare to raise her head at this moment. She put her fingers together and directly slashed out a sword light. Just in this moment, her cultivation level has been completely released from the suppression, and she has directly returned to the level of the 3rd level of sainthood. Such a terrible move. If she only exerted her strength at the 9th level of heaven and human realm, she had no confidence that she would be able to take on this divine ability. Boom! As the 2 rays of light collided, the roar exploded like thunder. The devastating impact was like a tsunami erupting, raging over the Fox Clan Valley. The void at the center of the collision shattered at this moment. Such a terrifying burst of power has exceeded the scope of the celestial human realm and reached the limit that the void can bear. And in the impact of this storm, Xiao Chen stared blankly at the center of the storm. The 5 attribute powers were constantly blending together, and understanding appeared in his eyes. As all the scenes of the previous battle flashed through his consciousness, Xiao Chen's consciousness instantly returned to the cave mansion itself. However, he did not open his eyes at this moment, but fell into a wonderful state of enlightenment. Only the strong men of the celestial human realm are qualified to comprehend the power of artistic conception. At this moment, Xiao Chen also soared into the sky. What happened? The master's consciousness has returned to its original form. Feeling the movement erupting in the cave mansion, Lu Ruoxian and Kyan condensed their expressions and looked at the cave mansion below. After seeing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth rioting around cave mansion, there were flashes of brilliant light. They all had shocked looks on their faces. Is this a manifestation of artistic conception? Young master actually realized the power of artistic conception, and he realized 5 kinds of it at once. Seeing cave mansion surrounded by 5 brilliant lights, not only Kyan and Lu Ruoxian were shocked on the spot. Even Bai-Hoshin, Lu Hanfei and others were shocked when they saw this situation. Is it really possible for people to comprehend the power of 5 artistic conceptions at once? Roar. The other side. As Xiao Chen's consciousness left, the 5 elements undead corpse puppet also regained control of its body and let out an earth-shattering roar. All the corpses and heavenly materials and earthly treasures that were devoured in the body were completely digested by it at this moment, and the fluctuations in cultivation level entered the saint realm at this moment. The surrounding void also collapsed amidst its roar. Such a terrifying scene made everyone's expressions change. 36%. Chapter 175. Young Master has had an epiphany for 3 days and 3 nights. This corpse puppet has broken through to the saint realm. Hearing this earth-shattering roar, Kyan, Bai-Hoshin and others turned around sharply. There was a look of shock and disbelief on his face. In just half an hour, he soared from nirvana to saint realm. What kind of monster is this corpse puppet? Boom. And when everyone was shocked, a dull roar suddenly sounded in the void, and dark clouds flashed with thunder, sweeping in from all directions like a wave. The terrifying coercion from heaven and earth caused Bai-Hoshin's expression to change drastically. Oops. This corpse puppet is going to cross the heaven and earth thunder tribulation. Seeing the thunder tribulation locking this area, Bai-Hoshin's heart immediately sank to the bottom. Regardless of the thunder tribulation of any creature crossing the heavens and the earth, there must not be other creatures around, otherwise it will be regarded as provoking Tianwei. Not only will the difficulty of the thunder tribulation of heaven and earth increase exponentially, but all living creatures within the range of the thunder tribulation will also be wiped out. Therefore, if this zombie is transcending tribulation over the Fox Clan Valley, the entire Fox Clan Valley will be reduced to ruins. But just when Bai-Hoshin's expression changed drastically, he was about to anger the corpse puppet and lure him away. The corpse puppet suddenly roared and flew out from the depths of Shiwen Mountain. It was as if Xiao Chen gave orders to this corpse puppet when his consciousness returned to his original form. It went to transcending tribulation deep in Shiwanda Mountain. Watching the figure of the 5 elements undead corpse disappear into the sky, thunderclouds filled the sky and swept towards the distance. Bai-Hoshin murmured in disbelief. This corpse puppet seemed a little different from what he had seen before. It seems like it possesses some kind of spirituality. It's a pity. The thunder tribulation of heaven and earth is the nemesis of all undead monsters. If this corpse puppet wants to survive the thunder tribulation, I'm afraid the hope will be very slim. Bai Hoshan said with some regret when he saw the five elements undead corpse going away. This type of monster can swallow the essence of flesh and blood to accelerate its own growth, although its cultivation will be many times faster than that of normal creatures. But because his cultivation level skyrocketed too fast, it was difficult to control his own power, and his body was filled with too many impurities and negative forces. Because of the stimulation of these negative forces, the thunder tribulation of heaven and earth will be much more terrifying than the transcending tribulation of normal creatures. So, the undead monsters in this world. In addition to being transformed from the corpse of a high-level powerhouse from the beginning, there is no need to perform transcending tribulation to avoid the induction of heaven and earth. When other undead monsters break through to great realms, few can survive thunder tribulation. If it were an ordinary corpse puppet, it might die from a natural disaster. But this is the mutated corpse puppet refined by the young master. Even the saint realm thunder tribulation can't do anything to it. After Bai Hoshan finished speaking, Kyan said calmly. Bai Hoshan's eyes immediately froze. Really, no matter what kind of creature, as long as it is enlightened by Xiao Chen, it will undergo an astonishing transformation. He had experienced this firsthand. So, this should be a mutated corpse puppet that is not afraid of thunder tribulation. It is hard to imagine how terrifying it will be when it grows up. With classmate Medusa chasing after us, we finally got together and took wedding photos, ready to step into the grave of marriage. Within the cave mansion, I don't know how much time passed before Xiao Chen opened his eyes again. A colorful light flashed in his eyes, and a terrifying cultivation aura erupted like a tsunami. Nirvana 7th level. Feeling his current cultivation level, Xiao Chen's face showed joy. Not long ago, I broke through from the first level of Nirvana to the third level of Nirvana. Now fighting with the help of the five elements undead corpse puppet not only allowed him to realize the artistic conception of the five attributes, but also allowed his cultivation level to skyrocket to the 7th level of Nirvana. Originally, he just wanted to try the mystery of the divine descending method, but he didn't expect that he would get such unexpected gains. This wave is simply a bloody prophet. How long have I had my epiphany? Seeing Kyan and Lu Ruoxian sitting cross-legged in the cave mansion, Xiao Chen asked curiously. Young master has been enlightened for 3 days and 3 nights. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Kyan immediately replied. 3 days and 3 nights. Xiao Chen couldn't help but clicked his tongue when he heard this. This is really a timeless practice. He felt that it had only been a while, but he didn't expect that 3 days and 3 nights had passed. By the way, sir, after the mutated corpse puppet survived the catastrophe, it has been hunting monsters in the 100,000 mountains. Now its strength has reached the 4th level of sainthood. When Xiao Chen was feeling a little emotional, Kyan continued with a solemn voice. If it is not controlled, I am afraid that its viciousness will gradually overwhelm its spirituality. The never-ending killing will continue to increase the hostility. Once the hostility in the body is too strong, it will gradually erode the true spirit in the sea of consciousness, making the other person's character become more cruel. It doesn't matter. Now its true spirit has integrated union with my soul seal, which can protect its spirituality from being eroded by hostility. But being riddled with anger is a hidden danger after all. When the thought fell, Xiao Chen also closed his eyes. After roughly sensing the location of the five elements undead corpse puppet, a command was transmitted to the opponent's mind through the air. Hiss. Almost not long after Xiao Chen gave the order, as the void was torn apart like a piece of paper, the five elements undead corpse puppet also appeared in the cave mansion. A strong corpse aura, accompanied by overwhelming evil aura, made the cave mansion very depressing. He actually broke through to the 5th level of sainthood. Feeling the fluctuations in cultivation on this corpse puppet, Kyan and Lu Ruoxian couldn't help but shrink their pupils. In just 3 days, after surviving the thunder tribulation of heaven and earth, his cultivation level skyrocketed to the 5th level of sainthood. Did this guy swallow up all the monsters in the 100,000 mountains? After this guy broke through to the saint realm, the power of the five elements and the power of the dead became integrated union. After Xiao Chen saw the appearance of the five elements undead corpse puppet now, he couldn't help but show a look of surprise on his face. At this time, the five elements undead corpse puppet is no longer covered in red hair as before, but has several other colors. It looks like an undead King Kong with a ferocious face and colorful hair. First train this guy to the 9th level of sainthood. Whether he is sitting in charge of the Xiao family or fighting for him at the peak level, he will be able to come in handy. Looking at the big guy in front of him, Xiao Chen also took out something from the system space when he thought about it. Necromantic Demon Yuan Fruit. This is a kind of heavenly material and earthly treasure found in Mo Cheng's Naji. Only in a place full of death energy can spiritual objects be born, and their quality reaches heavenly rank supreme grade. Certainly, for normal creatures, eating this thing will not only not improve their cultivation, but will also lead to death on the spot due to corpse poison. But for some undead monsters, it is an extremely rare tonic. Roar. Seeing the necromantic demon Yuan fruit in Xiao Chen's hand, the five elements necromantic corpse puppet couldn't help but growl, obviously very interested in this fruit. And Xiao Chen doesn't have any nonsense. He raised his hand and cut the necromantic demon Yuan fruit into 100 parts, and then left one part to give instructions to the system. Ding. The system has deducted 34,000 points and is repairing the necromantic demon Yuan fruit for the host. Ding. The system has deducted 160,000 points and is upgrading the necromantic demon Yuan fruit for the host. As the system prompt sounds, the fragment of the necromantic demon Yuan fruit has also transformed into a new necromantic demon Yuan fruit, and its quality has reached saint level supreme grade. Swallow it. Go to Shiwanda Mountain to find a place to refine it yourself. Without my permission, you are not allowed to be exposed in front of others. After giving a few instructions to the five elements undead corpse puppet, Xiao Chen casually threw the undead demon Yuan fruit to the opponent. The five elements undead corpse puppet excitedly swallowed the demonic element fruit, and the next moment it tore through the void and disappeared into the cave mansion. I don't know how many points are left. Feeling that more than 4 million points have been consumed, Xiao Chen opened the attribute panel as his thoughts turned. 36%. Chapter 176. Build a chariot palace and bring women with you in the future. Well, it will be more convenient to go out in the future. Host. Xiao Chen. Physique. Innate Tao body, the soul of enlightenment. Cultivation. Nirvana 7th level. Skills. The art of creating the universe, the art of fusion of spirits and subduing the gods. Divine ability. Heavenly demon shadowless step, great wild true dragon fist, 5 elements heaven shaking seal, 9 turn golden body cover, 5 elements killing technique, emperor's royal household technique. Points. 982,315. There are nearly 1 million points left. Looking at the points balance on the attribute panel, Xiao Chen also fell into deep thought at this moment. The remaining points must be used carefully. He still has several martial arts that have not been upgraded, and they are currently stuck at the heavenly rank supreme grade level. There are also Michelle Yeoh and others, many senior members of the Xiao family, whose talents also need to be upgraded. Certainly, he also wants to build a Flood Dragon chariot palace. In addition to making travel more convenient, the Flood Dragon puppet can also play a role. Get a formation disc first so that you won't have to explain it later. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen took out a fragment of the space array disc and spent 150,000 points to repair it. There are still more than 830,000 points left, so let's get a Flood Dragon chariot. Looking at the remaining points balance, Xiao Chen also made a decision in his heart. There is little point in upgrading the talents of Michelle Yeoh and others now, and there is no way for the opponent's cultivation level to soar all of a sudden. It is difficult to have any substantial effect on him. It's better to strengthen your own foundation first, and then help people around you improve their talents after harvesting more points in the future. As the thought falls, Xiao Chen first took out a broken branch of the demonic spirit seducer flower, and then spent 37,000 points to repair it completely. Then another 150,000 points were spent to upgrade it to saint level supreme grade. When the demon soul destroying flower was about to bloom, Xiao Chen cut the demon soul destroying flower into 2 pieces. The flowers can be kept for him to use to improve his soul power later, while the roots can be used as the next synthetic material. Immediately afterwards, under the watchful eyes of Qian and Lu Ruoxian, Xiao Chen waved his hand and took out another pile of things. One of the chariot palaces is the most eye-catching. Fortunately, the cave mansion arranged by Bai Hoshan and others is the largest cave mansion in the Fox Clan Valley. It is more than 10 feet long and horizontal, like a giant palace, so it can accommodate the chariot palace built by Yang Pojun. It turned out to be a palace chariot made of purple jade, celestial gold, Kongming stone, star jade, celestial quicksand, and red gold and copper mother. After using the identification function to identify the carriage, Xiao Chen couldn't help but have a look of surprise on his face. These are all precious heavenly rank materials, no matter which one they are priceless. Unexpectedly, Yong Pojun actually took it out and forged it into a chariot palace. This old boy is really extremely rich. This chariot palace. Not counting the 2 purple-scaled demon flame dragon puppets, the chariot palace at the back alone should be worth more than 30 million spiritual crystals. It's a pity that this old boy hasn't had time to pull him out and show off, and now he's getting an advantage in vain. Sir, you daughter refining corpses again. Kyan and Lu Ruoxian were stunned for a moment when they saw such a big fight made by Xiao Chen. Well, I plan to build a chariot palace so that I can take women with me. Well, it will be more convenient to go out in the future. Hearing Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's inquiries, Xiao Chen nodded and answered. The words fell. Xiao Chen waved his hand to disconnect the chariot from the 2 flood dragon puppets, and then his eyes fell on the bodies of the 2 purple-scaled demonic flame dragons. If you don't have enough points, just become a flood dragon. Looking at the 2 purple-scaled demonic flame dragon puppets in front of him, Xiao Chen's eyes flickered before he made a decision. Help me cut them into sections. When the thoughts in his mind fell, Xiao Chen said to Kyan. Complete items cannot be crafted. Therefore, the 2 flood dragons can only be divided into pieces and then synthesized. When Xiao Chen finished speaking, Kyan just raised her hand and waved lightly. The 2 purple-scaled demonic flame dragons were cut into dozens of pieces on the spot. Next, Xiao Chen asked Kyan and Lu Ruoxian to force out some blood, and then he also cut his palms to force out some blood, and then mutilated some corpse puppets remaining in the system space. Take it all out at once. This scene made Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's pupils shrink violently, and a rare look of fear appeared on their faces. Sir, are you planning to refine a monster more terrifying than the 5 elements undead corpse puppet? After taking a deep breath, Kyan asked in shock. The corpses of 2 purple-scaled demonic flame dragons were topped with the remains of a corpse king and the rhizome of the demon soul-taking flower. There were even a lot of materials with 5 elements attributes and the blood of the 3 of them. Kyan and Lu Ruoxian simply couldn't imagine what kind of ghost things would be refined. Well, as the exotic beast that I will use to pull cars in the future, its quality level cannot be too low. Hearing Kyan's words, Xiao Chen turned around and smiled. However, after seeing the worried looks in their eyes, Xiao Chen paused and reassured. Don't worry, I am absolutely sure that I can control this monster. After saying that, Xiao Chen no longer hesitated. Another incomplete soul seal of life and death was condensed, and then thrown into the material to issue instructions to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 180,000 points and is synthesizing all materials for the host. As the system beeps, a dazzling white light shines, and all materials turn into liquid integrated union. When taking wedding photos, because I said red ones are more festive, classmate Medusa changed to a red one. My mom. My wallet was instantly empty. Roar. Next moment, along with a violent roar, a statue with 2 ferocious heads and a black energy lingering all over its body. It looks like a dragon but not a dragon, looks like a python but not a python, looks like a dragon but not a dragon, like a monster crawling out of the abyss of hell. It also appeared in front of Xiao Chen and others. If the body, which is nearly 10 feet long, is not winding and entangled at this moment, I am afraid that this cave mansion will almost not be able to accommodate it. What a terrifying bloodline pressure. What kind of blood is this? Kyan and Lu Ruoxian looked at this monster and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Xiao Chen looked excited at this time. After the monster was refined, he formed seals with his hands. The soul seal of life and death, condense. After the sounds of these characters fell, the unformed soul seal of life and death in the monster was completely condensed and formed at this moment, and was imprinted in the sea of consciousness of the monster. Completely integrated union with the other person's newly born spirituality. No, this big guy has 2 heads, that is, there are 2 seas of consciousness, and another soul seal of life and death must be condensed. Before this 2-headed monster could regain its composure, Xiao Chen frowned slightly, condensed another soul mark of life and death, and integrated it into the other person's head. Double insurance. Even if this guy has another head and his spirituality evolves into an independent consciousness, he can control it without fail. From now on, I'll call you 2-headed demonic dragon puppet. Looking at the undead monster in front of him, which was also a corpse puppet, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and took out 2 pieces of the undead demon yuan fruit. After spending 68,000 points, it was repaired into 2 heavenly rank supreme grade demonic fruits, and then thrown to the 2-headed demonic dragon puppet to swallow and refine. After the two-headed demon dragon puppet swallowed these two demonic essence fruits, its figure quickly shrank at this time, and began to enter a deep sleep to refine the undead demonic essence fruits. Fluctuations in cultivation began to appear on his body, and they continued to soar at a terrifying speed. This guy can also grow or shrink freely. When Xiao Chen saw what was happening in front of him, a look of surprise appeared on his face. Next moment, he ignored the two-headed demon dragon puppet lying on the side that was rapidly getting stronger. Xiao Chen took out the chariot palace again, and then spent 180,000 points to upgrade it to Saint level supreme grade. Then the Saint King level empty array disc was directly embedded on the chariot palace. As long as he waits for the two-headed demon dragon puppet to revive, his demon dragon chariot will be ready. Unfortunately, due to insufficient points, whether it is the two-headed dragon puppet or the chariot palace, the quality is only Saint level supreme grade for the time being. You can only wait until you have enough points to upgrade to the Saint King level. 37%. Chapter 177. If Xiao Chen is allowed to be baptized a few more times, it should be no problem to give birth to a nine-tailed child. Hengshan Mohism. Shortly after the death of Mo Cheng and his party, the Mo family also held an emergency meeting. Mo Cheng and his party died in the Great Qian dynasty. I don't know if they were killed by the corpse king out of control, or if an outsider intervened and wiped them out. An old man sitting at the head of the hall spoke in a hoarse voice. But no matter how they died, the 100,000 Mountains project has failed. Since it is impossible to infiltrate the Great Qian dynasty through King Daqian Zhenin, we can control the entire dynasty area by removing the fuel from the cauldron. Then, let's use brute force to attack directly. As he spoke, the old man looked at a middle-aged man in black on the left, and after a pause, he continued speaking in a hoarse voice. Mo Zan, you will lead the vanguard this time. You first lead the powerful men of the Sirius dynasty to the blood sacrifice snake people in the endless desert. You must let the 5 poisonous pythons of the heavenly puppet evolve to the 7th level of the saint. This time, the old immortal of the Huo family failed to attack the Saint King realm. This is an opportunity for our other 2 families to annex the Huo family. I will never allow any more accidents to happen, otherwise, you will just wait to be turned into corpse puppets. After issuing this series of orders, the old man disappeared into the meeting hall. A terrifying murderous intention also spread. Less than a month after her wedding, classmate Medusa dyed her hair red and said it would make her prosperous. I saw that she clearly wanted Hongxing to cheat on her, which made me mad. There are more than 170,000 points left. In the Fox Clan Valley, Xiao Chen didn't know anything about the Mo family in Hengshan at this time. After taking a look at the points balance, Xiao Chen couldn't wait to go to Daqian Imperial City. It must have been almost a month since Zi Luo invited him. With this period of time as a buffer, Xian Chamber of Commerce must have collected a lot of resources and items. With the wealth he now has, he has the ability to swallow no matter how many resources and items there are. By then, once the items are exchanged for points again, he can return to the Xiao family and create his own training sacred land. Or, set foot in other dynasties in the eastern wasteland to harvest more resources. When thoughts fall, Xiao Chen also walked out of the cave mansion, went directly to Bai Hoshan and others, and handed the space array disc to them. Sir, is this really the array left by our ancestors? Inside the pavilion, looking at the space array floating in front of him, Bai Hoshan had a look of disbelief on his face. Although he doesn't know much about formations, he has practiced them for hundreds of years. There is still some discernment. The formation board left by my ancestor was obviously only saint level low grade, and it still had some flaws. But the quality of the space array in front of them is much better than theirs, and it doesn't look like the same array at all. Not only did I repair the defects of this array plate, but I also refined it. The quality has reached the saint level supreme grade. Not only can you randomly teleport 50 people to 100,000 miles away at once, it can also be positioned and associated with other array disks, and the transmission distance will be doubled based on the basic attributes. He looked at Bai Hoshan with a look of disbelief. Xiao Chen could only open his mouth to explain, and by the way, he briefly explained the function of this array disk to Bai Hoshan. Wah! What? Can you teleport 100,000 miles? After hearing Xiao Chen's explanation, Bai Hoshan took a deep breath and almost fainted from shock. The 2 people on the side, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, were so shocked that they couldn't help but open their mouths. The original array. It can only randomly teleport 30 people 100 miles at a time. Now after being repaired and refined by Xiao Chen, he can actually teleport 100,000 miles away. This gap is too big, right? Without any exaggeration, this array disc.is already a life-saving divine weapon. It was enough to set off a terrible bloody storm within the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland. Sir, this formation disc is too valuable, and our Fox clan cannot accept it. After taking a deep breath, Bai Hoshan handed the array disc back. Although the space array disc was given to Xiao Chen by them, it has now become a treasure. The Fox clan has received too many favors from Xiao Chen and is really not qualified to receive such good blessings again. It doesn't matter. I have solved all the mysteries of this space array. As long as we have enough resources in the future, I can have as many as I want. When this young master returns to the Xiao family in Luyun City, he will refining a formation disc to associate with you. By then, the Qingqiu Fox clan and the Xiao family will be able to communicate freely. If this young master is not in the Xiao family, if something happens, I hope that Chief Bai can help. After hearing what Bai Hoshan said, Xiao Chen smiled and waved his hand. These words, it completely shocked Bai Hoshan, Bai Suxin and others. Within these 2 days, they had heard the stories of Michelle Yeoh and Lu Hanfei, and already knew that Xiao Chen was born in the Xiao family of Luyun City. If the Qingqiu Fox clan can establish a good relationship with the Xiao family, it will be completely stable if they embrace Xiao Chen. Master, please don't worry. From today on, our Qingqiu Fox clan and the Xiao family will be allies forever. No matter what happens to the Xiao family, as long as our Fox clan can help, Bai will do our best in the future. After taking a deep breath to suppress the ecstasy in his heart, Bai Hoshan bowed. Both daughters have become Xiao Chen's women, and now the Fox clan will communicate with the Xiao family again. If the Qingqiu Fox clan can't seize this opportunity, he can really put his head under his butt and eat the shit. Then there is Patriarch Lao Bai. Xiao Chen replied with a smile. After memorizing the information about the Fox clan's array, he looked at Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin. You two will come back to the Xiao family with me, and then you want to return to the Fox Clan Valley, or follow me to the Daqian Imperial City. You can make a decision then. No matter what, Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin are already his women, so it is necessary to take them back and let Xiao Zhan get to know them. When he becomes invincible in the world in the future, he will hold a feast when he wants to achieve his status. Young master is going back now. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Bai Hoshan looked shocked. Full calculation. Xiao Chen only stayed in the Fox Clan Valley for 5 days, 3 of which were spent in retreat in the cave mansion. He also wanted Bai Suxin, Bai Suckin and Xiao Chen to work harder. If they could conceive Xiao Chen's blood, the Fox clan might be able to give birth to 9-tailed celestial fox. After all, Xiao Chen's talent is so perverted that he can also help others cleanse their marrow and cut their veins. As long as Bai Suxin or Bai Suckin is pregnant and Xiao Chen is baptized a few more times, it should be no problem to give birth to a 9-tailed baby. Well, I've been delayed here for a few days. If I don't go back, I'm afraid I'll miss something. Xiao Chen said helplessly after hearing this. Although he really wants to show off and continue to be affectionate with the beautiful woman. But the points balance has bottomed out. If he doesn't collect resources anymore, he will feel insecure. When thoughts fall, Xiao Chen raised his hand and snapped his fingers. As a dragon roar echoed, the sky above the pavilion suddenly became distorted. A 2-headed demon dragon was surrounded by dark purple fireworks, dragging a huge palace chariot behind it, and roared out of the twisted void. Such a terrifying movement. Bai Hoshan and others were immediately startled. 37%. Chapter 178. How about we tie him up and teach him a lesson together all night? This is a real dragon. Seeing this 2-headed demon dragon puppet emerging from the void, the expressions of Bai Hoshan, Bai Suxin and others changed. Among all races, dragon race is an extremely terrifying existence, and true dragon race is the royal family among monsters. But within the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland, only some hybrids with dragon race bloodline can be seen, and true dragon race can hardly even be seen as a ghost. But the 2-headed demon dragon in front of him exuded blood pressure. The 8-tailed celestial fox bloodline in their bodies felt strong fear, so Bai Hoshan and others subconsciously thought that this was a real dragon. No, although it has the power of dragon race's bloodline, the aura of the bloodline is a bit mottled. This is not a real dragon. And this guy has such a majestic corpse energy on his body. Is he another undead monster? After the two-headed demon dragon pulled the chariot in a circle in the void, it finally stopped firmly in front of the pavilion with its feet in the void. Bai Hoshan couldn't help shrinking his eyes and looked at Xiao Chen aside. In the entire Fox Clan Valley, the only one who can create undead monsters is Xiao Chen in front of him. Don't panic, this is my master's chariot palace. Although this big guy looks a bit scary, it won't make any changes without my permission. Seeing that Bai Hoshan, Bai Suxin and others were all frightened, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and waved his hands. The growth speed of this two-headed demon dragon puppet was even more amazing than he imagined. After swallowing 2 necromantic demon yuan fruits, even though they have not been completely refined, his cultivation level has already soared to the celestial human realm. Not long after that, when this two-headed demon dragon puppet completely refines the 2 demonic essence fruits, its cultivation level should be able to soar to the 9th level of heaven and human realm. By then, if you help this guy upgrade his talent potential to the Saint King level, it should be easy for the opponent to survive the Thunder Tribulation. Hey, Chariot Palace! Hearing Xiao Chen's 2 fluttering words, Bai Hoshan couldn't help but take a deep breath, with a look of shock and admiration on his face. Dragon race's mutated undead monsters are used as chariot slaves, and behind them there is also a sparkling chariot palace, and if it is paired with a bunch of beauties dancing on it. That kind of panache. It can even surpass some eternal emperors. Xiao Chen ignored Bai Hoshan's shock. After summoning the two-headed dragon puppet, he stepped out and landed on the palace, and then waved to Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin. The 2 sisters Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin, with their hearts surging, also landed on the chariot palace. This was their first time riding in such a magnificent chariot. It felt like a concubine accompanying the emperor on his travels. Master is leaving. Michelle Yeoh and others who were resting in Cave Mansion also appeared here one after another after noticing the movement outside. He saw the two-headed dragon puppet and the domineering chariot palace behind him. The small mouths of several people were slightly opened by the shock, and they looked quite seductive. You all come up together and prepare to return to the Xiao family in Luyun City. Seeing Michelle Yeoh and his party, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and said. He was about to send a message to these people, but unexpectedly a group of people came out. But it saves a lot of effort. Michelle Yeoh and others were delighted when they heard this, and they all landed on the chariot palace, but they still looked a little excited. Although several of them are celestial human realm powerhouses. However, Wanwaman's resources have always been relatively scarce, and they have never ridden in such a magnificent chariot palace. Look at the chariot palace at your feet. Every inch of the material was filled with an aura of terror, and their hearts became more and more shocked at this time. A chariot palace whose quality reaches the saint rank level. Looking at the 7 great dynasties of the eastern wasteland, besides the man next to them, who else can have such a big deal? After Michelle Yeoh and others fell into the palace. With the slight distortion of the space, Kyan and Lu Ruoxian appeared out of thin air and gracefully appeared on the palace. 1 boy and 9 girls. They are all the best among men. At this time, they looked like a couple of gods and immortals, but the faces of many members of the Fox clan below were filled with envy. Even some female Fox clan members showed salivating expressions. They also longed to stand on top of the chariot palace. It's a pity that their status is humble and their beauty is a little inferior. They don't even have the courage to lick Xiao Chen. Set off. After glancing at the Fox clan valley below, Xiao Chen transmitted the location of the Xiao family in Luyun City to the mind of the two-headed demon dragon puppet. Then he gave the order to the two-headed demon dragon puppet. In a dragon roar, the two-headed demon dragon puppet was covered in black flames and twisted the space into a stream of light, speeding towards the Xiao family in Luyun City. Luyun City, Xiao family. Sister Qingshe, tell me, brother Xiao Chen, when will he come back? In Xiao Chen's large courtyard, Xiao Meyer sat on the stone pier. He rested his elbows on the stone table and supported his chin, looking at Murong Qingshe with a bored expression. Xiao Chen came back a few days ago and spent a night cozying up with her and Xiaoling. Unexpectedly, he ran away directly after teaching the skills. It's a pity that after the two of them finished practicing, they still wanted to score twice with Xiao Chen, but they didn't expect that they missed it in the end. Have no idea. Murong Qingshe shook her head when she heard this, and said in a calm voice at this time. The young master received the distress signal from Sister Zaichong and the others, so he and Sister Kyan went to Shiwanda Mountain to rescue them. With Sister Kyan's ability to reach the 3rd level of sainthood, the young master and the others should not have any accidents. What's more, the Sister Lu Ruoxian in the back also went to Shiwanda Mountain after the retreat. That is a powerful person, even more terrifying than Sister Kyan. With her and Sister Kyan here, nothing will happen to the young master. Thinking of Yunshi telling her about Lu Ruoxian, Murong Qingshe still feels very uneasy. A mysterious woman with peerless grace and terrifying strength. Even Kyan, the queen of Medusa, would be overwhelmed. It left her feeling very curious and stressed. The women around the young master are each more outstanding than the last, and her current cultivation level has just reached the 8th level of spiritual aperture. Although among his peers, he is already very evil. But compared to the other women of the young master, her meager cultivation seems to be of little help. This made her feel very disappointed. After all, the training time was too short. Well, I've seen too many Queen Medusa pictures, so let's take a beautiful picture of Murong Qingshe. As long as nothing happens. Xiaomeier breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this, and then she seemed to have thought of something and suddenly said something shocking. Could it be that brother Xiao Chen found some stunning beauty in Shiwanda Mountain and was so fascinated that he didn't know to come back? This sentence fell. Not only was Murong Qingshe slightly startled, but Xiao Linger, who was silent at the side, also raised his head in surprise. Have to say, this question is a very tricky question. Young master, you are not that kind of person. After Murong Qingshe was stunned for a moment, she immediately defended Xiao Chen. But in the end, Murong Qingshui's words were also somewhat uncertain. Although Xiao Chen did not take the initiative to capture some women, there were many beautiful women who wanted to cheat on him one by one. Xiao Chen is full of energy and never suppresses himself. It seems that it is normal for a few weaknesses to appear accidentally. But in Shiwandashan, apart from the 2 trapped elders of Wanhua sect, there should be no other stunning women, right? It seems that Sister Qingshe is not too sure. Then next time brother Xiao Chen comes back, he may bring a bunch of beauties with him. We are waiting hard at home, but this stinky brother is having fun outside. As she spoke, Xiaomeier gritted her teeth, and then bewitched Murong Qingshe and Xiao Linger. We must not condone him like this. Wait until he comes back next time. Well, how about we just tie him up and teach him a lesson together all night? 37%. Chapter 179. Breaking 3 major realms in a row within 1 month. Is this the speed of cultivation that a person can achieve? Xiaomeier. You are so naughty. After hearing Xiaomeier's bold suggestion, Murong Qingshe and Xiao Linger were both slightly stunned. The latter couldn't help but say this after being silent for a while. This made Xiaomeier's face suddenly turn red. Xiao Linger, you damn girl, how dare you call me coquettish? Who was it that when Xiao Chen's brother bullied him a few days ago, he kept saying don't stop, he's going to lose his soul? As if being stimulated by Xiao Linger, Xiaomeier's face turned red and she counterattacked at this moment. The large-scale content in the words immediately made Xiao Linger's face turn red. You're talking nonsense. I obviously learned it from you. What else did you say? Master, you said you should enjoy yourself. Xiao Linger was so angry that she also revealed the dirty information about Xiaomeier, which made Murong Qingshe on the side a little stunned. Unexpectedly, besides Sister Kyan, these 2 sisters also like to do this. Xiao Linger, are you floating? Before Xiao Linger's shocking information was revealed, Xiaomeier went up and covered the other person's mouth, and the 2 were directly entangled at this moment. Beautiful face and hot body. The 2 beauties were playing and playing around, and together with the surrounding flowers and plants, it became a sight to behold. Fortunately, this is Xiao Chen's inner courtyard. Except for these women, no one else was there, so neither of them was exposed. Roar. Just when the 2 were playing and fighting intensified, and Murong Qingshe was about to speak to dissuade them, a dragon roar suddenly came from the void. The expressions of Xiaomeier and others changed in fright, and they quickly raised their heads and looked into the air. Next moment, as the sky above the Xiao family suddenly distorted, a 2-headed dragon pulled a chariot to the palace, almost jumping in space, and rushed out of the void in a very strange way. Such a shocking movement not only shocked the entire Xiao family, but also shocked most of Luyun City. Dragon! Dragon! A monster is going to attack the Xiao family. Seeing the 2-headed demon dragon puppet rushing out of the void, Xiaomeier and others took a deep breath. Even at this moment, Xiao Zhan, Xiao Mingyi and others also rose from the Xiao family. This period of time, Xiao Chen improved their talents and left a lot of cultivation resources, and their cultivation levels also improved rapidly. Xiao Zhan has broken through to the 5th level of Grotto Heaven, Xiao Mingyi is at the 3rd level of Grotto Heaven, and Xiao Qishong and Xiao Delong are at the 2nd level of Grotto Heaven. Although such a level of cultivation is not yet considered a strong one, it is already vastly different from what it was a while ago. No, that's, young master. When everyone's eyes were fixed on the two-headed demon dragon puppet, their expressions became particularly solemn at this moment. The sharp-eyed Murong Qingshe saw Xiao Chen first and shouted with joy. Is it Chen'er, brother Xiao Chen? After hearing Murong Qingshui's words, Xiao Zan and Xiao Meier's group. Only then did he see an extraordinary and handsome man standing among a group of beauties on the chariot palace. This made them couldn't help but widen their eyes. I've only been out for a few days. Xiao Chen. Where did he get such a magnificent chariot palace? The chariot was actually pulled by a terrifying two-headed dragon, and there were 9 stunning women standing on the chariot palace. They had never seen such a scene in their lives. At this time, the two-headed demon dragon puppet roared and stood firmly in front of everyone. Xiao Zan and others were all stunned. Well, there are pictures. If you are tired of looking at Queen Medusa, let's take a picture of Lu Shen. This is the Xiao family in Luyun City. Looking at Xiao Zan and others in front of them. After Xiao Chen said something to Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, he floated down from the chariot palace with several beauties. Chen'er, this. Looking at the two-headed demon dragon puppet in front of me, it seems that a spray of dragon breath can destroy them. Xiao Zan took a deep breath and said with some shock. This is the chariot palace that I refined, and this guy is an undead monster, and his strength has now reached the 2nd level of heaven and man. But it's completely under my control, so you don't have to worry about it hurting anyone. Hearing what Xiao Zan probably wanted to ask, Xiao Chen waved his hand and explained a few words. And the two-headed demon dragon puppet seemed to have received instructions from Xiao Chen. Then he found an open space in Xiao's house and lay down on the ground to refine the necromantic demon yuan fruit again. The chariot and palace you refined. That big guy is actually an undead monster, and his cultivation has reached the celestial human realm. When Xiao Zan, Xiao Mingyi and others heard this, they took another sharp breath at this moment. It's so scary. Now the slave beast Xiao Chen uses to pull the cart is actually a monster from the celestial human realm. Chen'er. What level of cultivation are you, now? Thinking that Xiao Chen could refine such a majestic chariot and palace, and his current cultivation level should not be much weaker, Xiao Zan couldn't help but ask curiously. After a few days of enlightenment in the Qingqiu Fox Clan Valley, my cultivation has barely reached the 7th level of nirvana. Xiao Chen didn't hide anything after hearing this, and immediately replied with a smile. As he displays more and more abilities, Xiao Zan and others' ability to accept them has become stronger than before. So there are some things that there is no need to hide. Barely. Reach the 7th level of nirvana. Wah. What? Nirvana. Nirvana 7th level. After hearing Xiao Chen's answer, Xiao Zan and others didn't react at first, but the next moment they understood it. His body staggered and he almost fell to the ground on the spot. The 7th level of nirvana. Such cultivation has already surpassed these old guys by more than one realm. And last month, Xiao Chen was only at the spiritual aperture realm. Within a month, he broke through 3 major realms in a row. Is this the speed of cultivation that a person can achieve? Ha ha ha, he is worthy of being my Xiao Zan's son. He has broken through 3 major realms in just 1 month. Looking at the entire eastern wilderness, which genius can cultivate at such a speed? My son Xiao Chen has posture of the great emperor. After being stunned for a while, Xiao Zan laughed wildly. To have such an outstanding son, I can rest in peace even if I die. Xiao Mingyi, Xiao Qishong and others were also moved to tears. Xiao family. It was originally just a small family in Luyun City, but unexpectedly, a peerless monster like Xiao Chen appeared. Now with the rise of the other side, in the future they only need to be more competitive. The Xiao family wants to become the largest family in the eastern wasteland, and the results can definitely be seen. By the way, Chen'er, these are the resources we have collected in the past few days using the spiritual crystals you gave us. However, the cities around Luyun City are relatively lacking in resources. We can only collect resources worth more than 2.8 million spiritual crystals. After some ecstasy, thinking of what Xiao Chen told him a few days ago, Xiao Zan quickly took off a Na ring. Then he handed it to Xiao Chen. Resources worth more than 2 million spiritual crystals. Hearing Xiao Zan's words, Xiao Chen's eyes lit up slightly, and he immediately took the ring. It took a few days to collect these resources. It took a lot of effort for my father and several elders. Next, I will go to Dakian Imperial City. But before I leave, I will refine a space formation disk to allow the Xiao family and the Qingqiu Fox clan to communicate with each other. If something happens in the future, it will be more convenient to come and go. After receiving the storage ring, Xiao Chen gave instructions to the system to directly recover all the resources in the ring. With this wave of points being recorded, there were more than 170,000 points left before, and his points skyrocketed to more than 460,000. Although it is not as good as before, it can still solve the urgent need. Are you leaving the Xiao family again? Hearing these words from Xiao Chen, not only Xiao Zhan and others looked shocked, but even Xiao Meyer and others beside them couldn't help but change their expressions. Just now, when I stepped into Xiao's house, I was already anxious to leave. And what kind of force is this Qingqiu Fox clan? During the turning of thoughts, only then did Xiao Zhan and his party notice that two of the women behind Xiao Chen actually had tails. 37%. Chapter 180 Kidnapping two people at once. Xiao Chen. Isn't he too tough? Hiss, Fox. From the Fox clan. After seeing the furry tails behind Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin, Xiao Zhan, Xiao Mingyi and others couldn't help but expand their pupils, and they all exclaimed in disbelief. Only now did they remember what kind of force this Qingqiu Fox clan was. Seems like decades ago. There is a rumor in Guangzhou that there is a mysterious race living in the inner surroundings of Shiwanda Mountain. The name is Qingqiu Fox clan. Not only are the men and women good-looking, but they are also good at soul magic, and the women are better at charm. However, because the Qingqiu Fox clan has retreated for decades, the rumors in Guangzhou have disappeared. So Xiao Zhan and others didn't think about it for a while. Well, her name is Bai Suxin, her name is Bai Suckin, she is the daughter of the leader of the Qingqiu Fox clan, and now she is also my woman. Xiao Chen nodded upon hearing this and introduced Xiao Zhan and others. Suxin, Suckin, I've met Uncle Xiao. After Xiao Chen's introduction, Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin had a tacit understanding and both addressed Xiao Zhan as uncle. If calculated by age, Bai Suckin is older than Xiao Zhan. But in the world of Kanglin, the more advanced a martial artist is, the longer his or her lifespan will be. Sometimes one cannot judge seniority based on age. Since they are Xiao Chen's women, they should be a generation younger than Xiao Zhan, and they should call them uncle. Hey, the daughter of the leader of the Qingqiu Fox clan. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, looking at the two picturesque-looking sisters in front of them, Xiao Zhan, Xiao Mingyi and others took another deep breath. Even Xiao Meyer, Mirong Qingxie and others were collectively dumbfounded at this moment. Went to Shiwanda Mountain. He abducted the daughter of the leader of the Fox clan and brought back two at once. Xiao Chen. Isn't he too tough? No need to be polite. Seeing Bai Suxin and Bai Suckin bowing, Xiao Zhan was shocked, then he waved his hand with a smile and said, no matter what, as long as Xiao Chen likes her, she can become the daughter-in-law of the Xiao family even if she is from a different race. This point has been unquestionable since he let Xiao Chen grasp Queen Medusa. These two are the elders of Wanhua sect. The reason why Kayan and I went to Shiwanda Mountain is because the two of them encountered trouble. Seeing that Yun Jiro and Li Mengru looked a little embarrassed, Xiao Chen immediately spoke and introduced them. This made Yun Jiro and Li Mengru look at Xiao Chen strangely. Xiao Chen said this. Is it hinting that the two of them can also become each other's women? Thinking of how Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others had brainwashed them in the past few days, Yun Jiro and Li Mengru's hearts could not help but beat rapidly. She was rescued from the corpse Yin Mountain by Xiao Chen and Kayan, and the former even helped them repair their injuries. They have already had a great impression of Xiao Chen in their hearts, and their fellow senior sisters have all become Xiao Chen's women. If Xiao Chen wants them, they all want it. But Xiao Chen didn't know that the two of them wanted to embrace each other at this time. After briefly introducing the situation of these two people, he introduced Lu Ruoxian to Xiao Zhan and others. This is my other senior sister Lu Ruoxian whom I mentioned to you before. Hearing this, Lu Ruoxian nodded to Xiao Zhan and others, who were so shocked that Xiao Zhan and others quickly bowed with fists in their hands. After all, this is a transcendent level expert who has reached the 9th level of the saint. He can wipe out the existence of the Xiao family with just a sneeze. Even if the other party becomes Xiao Chen's woman, they don't dare to put on airs. Not to mention, now Xiao Chen only said that the other party was his senior sister, not his woman. So no matter what, a few of them still have to show some respect and awe to the strong. Next, after a brief conversation, Xiao Zhan and others also left one after another. Xiao Chen has paid so much for the Xiao family and has to work hard outside every day. This was a rare return, and it was not convenient for them to stay for a long time. After all, there are still several women in this courtyard who are looking at them with helpless eyes, and Xiao Chen will have to comfort them later. Qian, Zhenin Prince's mansion hasn't eradicated them yet, so I have to trouble you to go there and wipe them completely from the world. After Xiao Zhan and others left, Xiao Chen remembered that the Zhenin Palace had not yet eradicated the disease, and immediately spoke softly to Kai Yan. Well, I will go and destroy them right now. Qian nodded after hearing this, then tore into the void and disappeared. She spends the longest time with Xiao Chen, so there is no need to stick to each other all the time, leaving some space for Xiao Chen to appease others. This is the magnanimity she should have as the eldest sister of the harem. Ruoxian, go find a side room to refine the demonic spirit soul-captivating flower and the soul-reviving purple pill, and restore your cultivation to the 9th level of Saint King as soon as possible. After seeing Qian leaving, Xiao Chen thought about it and said to Lu Ruoxian. The leader of the 5 elements undead corpse is refining the demonic yuan fruit in the 100,000 mountains, and will soon be able to reach the 9th level of the Saint Realm. In addition, he also controls a 2-headed demon dragon puppet, and his strength will soon reach the 9th level of heaven and man. There is also a group of strong men from Wanwaman. Even if Qian goes into seclusion to refine the beast fire, his personal safety can still be guaranteed. By then, when Lu Ruoxian and Qian both achieve breakthroughs in cultivation, and he also controls 2 undead monsters, it will be enough to sweep through any force in the eastern wasteland. Well, then I'll go into seclusion. Lu Ruoxian nodded when he heard the words, but didn't say much at this time. I found an unused room in the inner courtyard of Xiao Chen's house, and went inside to refine the demonic soul-taking flower and the soul-reviving purple pill. Well, there is a picture. Here is a glamorous version of Lu Shen. This looks so beautiful. Well, brother Xiao Chen, you went out for a trip. And you really brought back some beauties. After seeing Xiao Chen explain the matter, Xiao Meyer immediately walked to Xiao Chen's side, reached out and pinched Xiao Chen's waist. Then he looked at Bai Suxin and others, and said something generous. My name is Xiao Meyer. I am the elder sister of this stinky brother, and also his woman. Her name is Xiao Linger, just like me. She is also Xiao Chen's clan sister and this guy's woman. After saying that, Xiao Meyer looked at Marong Qingshe, who was aside, and immediately started to introduce him. Her name is Marong Qingshe. She is also the woman of this stinky brother. Well, there is also a little girl named Yunxi. Although she is Xiao Chen's brother's personal maid and has not officially lost her virginity to him, she is also his stinky brother's woman. Thinking of that little girl Yunxi, she usually has a little inferiority complex. So Xiao Meyer took the initiative at this time and helped her to occupy a place among the others. Wait like this later. Xiao Chen took this girl away. Bai Suxin, Michelle Yeoh and others will not feel abrupt. Hello sisters. After hearing what Xiao Meyer said, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin were both stunned. After being stunned for a moment, they all said hello shyly. Although it feels like the cultivation of Xiao Meyer and others is much weaker than theirs, their momentum does not seem to be weak. After all, the other party is Xiao Chen's clan sister, and her name sounds quite intimidating. Bai Suxin and others didn't care about false reputation, so they lowered their posture, and started talking with Xiao Meyer and others. By the way, where is Yunxi's little girl? Saw Xiao Meyer, Xiao Linger and others. He immediately became mingled with Bai Suxin and others, and seemed to want to touch the fox's tail. Xiao Chen also had a smile on his face. After losing sight of Yunxi, he frowned and asked. After losing sight of Yunxi, he frowned and asked. After losing sight of Yunxi,